Welcome back to Kanode Knows. Once upon a time, there was a weird writer from Canada who decided to take on a really, really ambitious documentary filmmaking project and travel around the world and tell stories that BMX riders have. And then he came over to my house and we did a podcast. Justin Schwanke and Michael Jimenez are on the show today, and they were talking about Project Spoke. Project Spoke is pretty badass, and at the time of recording this interview, I had not seen it, and then I watched two of them. I watched Big Daddy and Behringer last night, and it's phenomenal. I think he says in this interview it's his first ever time making documentaries, and he nailed it. Told the story really well, kept my attention, and yeah, it's story. So I was very impressed. You guys should definitely go check it out. Go to projectspoke.com and buy the DVD, get a shirt or the digital download, and enjoy. The story about Behringer is touching. The story about Big Daddy is entertaining as hell. Also touching. He's a good man, and I can't wait to watch the rest of them. So it was a pretty fun conversation, and Michael Jimenez, aka Comet Donkey, brought some levity to it, and I enjoyed doing it. So you guys will enjoy listening. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave a review if you're just listening on audio, and let's get into it. Here's Justin Schwanke and Michael Jimenez.
Kanode Knows.
Yeah, you sound good.
All right, cool.
You sound good all the time.
How do I sound?
Mediocre at best.
Mediocre.
Yeah, just all right.
Okay. Yeah, just about right. I'll tell you what. Well, that's as good a starting point as any. Hello, Justin Schwanke, Michael Jimenez. Welcome to the crib.
Hello.
Trip, what do you think? Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, they're cool. Yeah, you have the cutest dog ever.
Thanks. I agree. He's pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked right now. I'm
Yeah.
just like, this is, I'm so happy.
He makes life pretty good.
Don't lick my
Yeah,
armpit.
and especially
That's
when you're brand
weird.
new, he loves it. He's like, all right, what's up? You're my new best friend. I will make you love me. And then he acts too cool for school. Like, I'll go to bed and come on, Trip. And he just doesn't care. He's like, he'll just stare at me. I'm like, please come on the bed.
It's because he's used to you. You're not
100%,
fresh
yeah.
anymore.
Dad, you're such a loser. I don't want to hang out with you.
You're all used up.
In more ways than one, Michael. Damn.
Michael's pretty notorious for wherever he goes, he finds a dog
Falling
or
over
a
the
cat.
dog. Yeah, it's classic serial killer behavior, dude. I know.
Is
when
that really?
I know one when I see one, dude. Yeah, where the body's buried, Michael.
Have you gone on? If you go to my Instagram, there's a highlight and it says best friends.
And it's dogs.
And it's just dogs, cats.
everybody's
Like
dogs?
there's like a millipede in there that I was trying to pet, like praying mantis.
Nobody's
It's
that
just,
good
like,
of a person.
everything.
Who was I saying that about? Fucking Darth Dre? Charles Kundle?
He's sick. He's really
too
cool.
good of a person? Like, you're fighting fires and you're this good at bikes and you're just a wholesome man that's been married and lived on a farm with
He, like,
alpacas?
flies
I'm like,
helicopters
he kills
and puts
people.
them out.
For sure, he kills people.
His Instagram name leads me to believe that.
Darth Dre.
He's really good at bikes. I think I met him like one time, and he rides with Jordan Barbara a lot in Riverside.
Yeah, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
I actually
Yeah.
was filming a edit for him.
Nice.
It's really good.
For
so
Charles
far.
or Jordan?
Jordan.
Sick.
Yeah, it's all on my computer.
Yeah, he's
He
an
needs
OG
like
OG.
a handful of clips. and
Georgian
then-
Bob Barra.
Yeah, there's a funny story about a really good clip that he did. It's like never been done before, and he put in a lot of work for it. And we filmed it with somebody I'm not going to name because that person's just, we're not going to name that person. There's a whole story about that.
Well, that's the point of a podcast. Tell the
Unless
story.
if you want to cut it, yes. But like,
I don't want to edit anything, so don't say it.
yeah, I can't say it then. But he runs a bike shop out in that area. And
Larry?
I can't say. So he runs a bike shop in the area. And he had filmed another angle of it. And then I asked Larry for the clip, and Larry blocked me. I
So
like,
it was Larry.
Yeah, it was Larry. I'm just
edit
gonna
this
say
shit.
it. Yeah, no, yeah. We have a bad history. Larry tried to do me dirty, and I was like, I can't do it.
Happens to the best of us.
Can't. But
No shade. I've never met Larry.
yeah,
Maybe I have.
he's
at
really
one
cool.
point, but
Like straight. I know I just put him on blast. Said that he tried to do me dirty, and he did. But at the same time, he's a good person. Like he's a good person.
that's the nature of most people. You can be done dirty and still think that person's probably a good person. Mm-hmm. Have
Definitely.
you guys been following the lives at all? Did you catch the Sean Ricani situation?
I jumped in a couple of them, but I haven't been able to watch them all.
I asked Sean Ricani his dog's name, and he flipped on me. Bro, you got me fucked up, and then fucking like made a whole thing out of it. And I was like, I just asked your dog's name, dude, and then fucking ended up ending the live.
So what's his dog's name?
I still don't know. I think Leo.
Oh,
had
it
to guess, I
is.
think
Yeah,
it's
Leo Ricani. Yeah. Yeah, I see
So
that.
it's just become a meme now. I just ask everybody that comes on the live, I'm like, so what's your dog's name?
What's
and
your
I
dog's
just
name?
watch their reaction. And they're like, it's Tonka. Like, it's just not a thing.
Don't
Anyway.
ask me. I'm going to freak the fuck out.
Yeah. I'm pissed off.
What's Trip's name?
Trip Kanode, man. But anyways, hi, Justin.
Hello.
Sorry, Justin. I'm sorry. I'm going to eat
Thanks for
this
coming
while
on the
you
podcast, dude.
Thanks. I have no discussion to add to the drama segment. So
Yeah,
I've
where's
been
your
silent.
beef? You don't have no beef, dude? You're
Well-
way too Canadian and nice to have beef.
Well, no, this project has come with challenges, but I will. I'm
So,
not going to put
we're
anyone on
here.
blast.
Speaking of projects, Project Spoke, and it's quite lovely. I'd like to see the documentary stuff in it. We just got back from Unity Ride Shop and we watched the biking cross-laced riding film, which is a pretty cool name because it comes from all the videos working on them and everything in that journey, I would imagine, right?
Yep.
Why is it called cross-laced?
Just
Because that's a style
the-
of crossing spokes, but
Yeah.
all these stories come together and then you get everybody together. That's pretty cool.
I didn't think of it metaphorically, so that's
It's a
pretty
good metaphor for
Wait, really?
the way
That's
the
a
video
perfect
came
metaphor.
together. Yeah.
I just took it literal. It's like Project Spoke. Cross-lace just sounded nice, but
Works out in the end,
metaphorical,
yeah.
that's good.
I
I got to
could do
describe it that way. It sounds like a
Yeah,
better,
fuck yeah.
better value
That's your
proposition.
idea from
Yeah.
now on.
All the spokes are the documentaries, and then Crosslace is the riding project that came from it, almost as a byproduct.
Sick.
What was the impetus of this, dude? Why did you start this, and what was the first steps?
Yeah, so I have a business background, and at the end of
Midnight, man.
20. When did I start this?
What does that
End
mean?
of-
You have a business background?
I went to school for Bachelor of Commerce, and then I've been working in kind of like the consulting industry.
Cool.
So the firms that I have worked for and I currently work for, our focus is leadership transition. So movement of executives in or out of organizations and the methodology built around that and how to do it well. And at the end of 2019-ish, I guess like even August 2019, I had been at this company for 2 years, and I was sort of dabbling with the idea of trying to do something more with film and media. And I went to school, business school. I kind of knew that going to film school probably isn't going to provide that much value for me, really.
Financially? Yeah.
And
For real, though.
so I've just experienced throughout my life, and I think many people do, the best way to learn something is to do a project.
Yeah.
And you learn by doing, and you learn by failing, and just figuring things
Big
out.
facts.
So that was like the more personal, selfish factor of this project.
Mm-hmm.
The other side of it that sounds nicer and more cool is I really just wanted to elevate storytelling in BMX. I think podcasts are starting to do that now for sure. But there's just so many deep stories in BMX that haven't been captured in like a concise, clean way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the idea for this came from. Also,
I like that a lot.
Yeah. Also wanted to do a riding video because I love filming full lengths and videos. Michael makes fun of me all the time for my poor social media presence, but
I just make full lengths and put them out. I don't have an Instagram.
Yeah, I just got the
He's a real soul
credentials
skater
for the
over here,
Project
dude,
Spoke
yeah.
Instagram today, and just give it to me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it. Just,
I'll fucking do it. Man.
yeah, just give it to me.
so anyways,
This isn't your first full length. How many
No.
full lengths have you made?
I've only made one before this.
Weird and revered?
Correct. Yeah, we did full lengths with our Canadian crew, like Western Canadian, I guess, crew. It was called Vagabond Squad.
Okay.
And that came out I started that one 2016, came out in the spring of 2019. And
Fuck yeah. That's a project.
yeah, and then it's on Dig now if anyone wants to look that up and watch it. And so yeah, I started to do a whole bunch of planning on this project at the end of 2019. I made like a project plan document. It's like 30 pages, all these
Damn.
budgeting, what the films are about, the logistics of where I need to go, so on and so forth.
I'd like to linger on this for a minute. That's great. I've never done that for a BMX project ever. So I think that probably came in handy when it came to pitching to like the city art council and shit like that. Like you don't even have to have anything made yet. You just present the plan and say, would you like to be a part of this? Is that kind of how it goes?
Yeah, so that
And what does the plan look like? What do you type out? that you're planning. This is some business college shit that you're doing. You're just like, let me apply this professionalism to a BMX video. And it's pretty badass. It's cool.
And I want to add, did you already want to approach Edmonton Arts Council? Was it Edmonton?
Well, so I applied for grants. So there's two things here kind of going on. So there's the project plan. So I have clarity about what this thing is and I can structure it because it's so big. Like it's massive. So
yeah, it's
there's
7 videos in one. It's
yeah.
something.
So I have to put structure around that so it's possible and to figure out what I can and can't do. And so I make that project plan initially for myself. So I had clarity about what I was going to try to accomplish.
How long does making this project plan take? I'm curious. And is it just you sitting on Microsoft Word? Like, what are you literally doing?
It's just making a document, different sections in there about budgeting, marketing, the film concepts, travel.
That's cool. Yeah.
Anything you can think of.
All the planning that you could just put it in writing and put it out.
Yeah, and it just starts as like a messy, rough note brainstorm thing, and then I structure it.
Take that college skills and make some formatting and make some shit bold, some shit underlined. You know what I'm saying? I went to college too.
So that's one side of it for me, and then I used that also when I was reaching out to a media partner, which became for this project RBMX. Shout outs to Adam Watkins. He used to be part of RBMX. He was the one who kind of got behind this with me. And then since Adam's not there anymore,
it's Bert and Fudge.
Fudger has been my main point of contact, and then Albert's
not anymore.
Oops, sorry, we'll cover that later. Tune in later for some drama. Dude, I'm not even in the frame. Let's go.
Let's fix that. There was actually no drama with RBMX.
Good.
Yeah. That would have been juicy though, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we should create drama.
All I do is I'm looking for drama, boys. That's what's good content. I'm totally
just
kidding.
gonna text them and just start.
I'd like to avoid it. It makes me uncomfortable. Anyways, continue talking.
Yeah. So the other side, which you guys were referencing, was the grants. So I applied for a whole bunch of tons of grants. I got one.
How many did you apply for?
Yeah, and how does one apply for grants? I remember working with a nonprofit out here, Wheels in Motion, Chelsea Tellez and Jesse Tellez and the Tellez family, and they would constantly they had a nonprofit and they would get grants to make shit happen at public schools, like teaching kids BMX, which I thought was so cool. And I was like, how does that work? You write a letter, basically, to the government and say, I'm doing this.
Yeah, I've had a bit of experience. On my end, it sucked.
Yeah, it depends. So, like, you done it with skate parks, right?
Yeah, I did it when I built the last, 2 parks that we did. And
when you talk, you move that thing closer to you.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's far away.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, no, I did grants when I did the last 2 parks we built, and then some jams, and then we also had a guy doing some shows and some little contests that I tagged in, and we had to do a lot of grant writing for that stuff. Boys and Girls Club we were tagging into. It was a ton of little projects that we did.
See, but that's American grants. We're in Canada.
Yeah, I hate it. On my end, it was terrible. It was so much work.
I imagine it's probably smoother in Canada now.
No, I have I guess backing up even from the grants, I had the experience of writing some of the stuff from scholarships when I was in university. So I had a lot of my schooling was paid for by scholarships. I don't know the exact number, but more than half for a 4-year degree. And so that helped with that. And so the grants, it's just doing your internet research, finding out who gives out money, what the requirements are. And so the grant that I won, which I should say is not the only way I paid for this project. Most of the project was paid out of pocket by me.
Self-funded, yeah.
Yeah. But so the Edmonton Arts Council had an individual artist project grant. So you basically can pitch any project, and you just have to reside in the Edmonton area, which I was at the time. I moved away for a while, and then I came back, so I'm still there. And yeah, I used a lot of what was in that project plan, and then you customize to what the grant application is, and then hopefully they say yes, and they did, which was awesome. And so I got some money to kickstart the thing.
How much?
5,000 Canadian.
Nice.
And then
that's great. What did you put it towards first? What's the first thing you spent the money on? Travel. Yeah, for sure.
So I think I got the grant in December of 2019, and then it was January of 2020 when I started filming.
Sick.
So I was supposed to be gone for 4 months, traveling to different places in the U.S.
Well, hang on. We'll get into traveling. I'm still curious about the what's it called? Pre-production.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Unity Bike Shop. Unity Ride Shop, I should say. Off 43rd Avenue in Bethany Home in Phoenix, Arizona. Unity is putting on for the BMX scene here in Phoenix, and it's pretty awesome. They're actually hosting a ride today, I think. But they constantly do events. It's the place to hang out for BMX riders in Phoenix. And the owner's very cool and involved. And it's a good shop, dude. They sponsor a bunch of local riders. They put on events. They're keeping stuff in stock that other bike shops definitely don't. And it is the BMX shop in Phoenix for, I don't know what for. It's just good. So shout out Unity Ride Shop. Go to unityrideshop.com. Check it out. And if you're in Phoenix, go check it out. Thank you for sponsoring the show. This episode is brought to you by Burn Slow. Go to burnslow.co. They just had a new drop. Sick shit with Bam Margera. New shirts with the little bike on it, and it's Burn Slow is just dope. So I'm super grateful for the support, and I love rocking Burn Slow shirts. I'm waiting for my next package so that I can wear a Burn Slow shirt every day of the week. Because other than that, I'm wearing stuff that doesn't even have words on it. But it's cool that it's owned and operated by BMX boys. Adam Roy is incredible at art, and he's been tremendously helpful with this podcast and behind the scenes stuff and designs. And big fan of Burn Slow. So shout out Burn Slow. Thank you for sponsoring the show, and go get you some. This episode is brought to you by Dance Comp. Dance Comp is the world's biggest online mail order for BMX company, BMX parts, and BMX bikes and parts and soft goods and accessories. And it's been a staple in the BMX world for quite some time. And if you use promo code Kanode, you can get 15% off and go buy some tubes right now. Stock up on tubes. But you need bike stuff. You got to get it online. Go to dancecomp.com. Thank you for supporting the show.
So you write this plan, and then how many grants did you apply for? And then how many did you get? You got one out of how many did you apply for?
Maybe like 10. I don't know.
And how do you learn about that? Obviously, you just Google, but do you have? I guess when you're in the university environment, like it's kind of
Here's one thing I did, which I haven't talked about yet. I've never made a documentary prior to this. So
hell yeah, that's a fucking hell of a first swing at it, brother.
Yeah, let's just make 6 all at once.
That's awesome.
And they're the ones that I haven't seen them all because obviously it's got to be kind of a secret. Like I want to be surprised every time, and we have
on this worldwide tour,
6-7 stops or something like that. And so I've been.
What you're saying is it's good though.
They're the ones that I've watched are.
I'm excited to see that.
It was emotional.
More so than the writing. No, I really was looking forward to the doc. I thought we were gonna watch one of those documentaries tonight. Writing was great, and I loved it. And you got some superstars in that video. It was pretty cool. But I do want. I can't wait. And I got my Xbox right there. So is that for me? Can I have that?
Yeah.
Yes. Let's go.
Yeah. You should open it.
So we got.
Yeah. Open it.
There's a secret
in there before we keep going.
Spank Bank.
Classic.
Is that cool?
Got a little Behringer photo in there. What if I was like, who's that?
So that picture has not been published anywhere. So when one huge aspect of doing a documentary is you need all the B-roll, and so you have to go through people's archive and find good stuff to use relevant to what they're talking about.
Tedious.
And that picture has not been published because it came from Behringer's massive, huge box of 4x6 photos he's had throughout his career.
Wow.
And so that's some random, I don't know the context to that picture, but he's pretty notorious for wearing funny wigs and funny outfits and all that.
He seems amazing, dude. I would love to meet Matt Behringer.
Yeah, good human. So anyways, I put them in all the DVDs and got him to sign them.
That's cool. That's very cool.
How
many DVDs did you have made?
125.
Yeah,
and I might
guess 100. Literally nobody has DVD players, but it's really dumb to make a bunch of DVDs.
Yeah. So I might make more if we'll see how they sell. So far, I've just the digital version of the project's not out yet.
Yeah.
But the sales for pre-order digital and then these DVDs are pretty much 50-50.
Cool. Yeah.
So
that's not bad.
It seems
I think once it gets more spread out, digital download will pop off harder than DVD for sure.
Yeah. So on July 29th is when the digital version will be publicly accessible. So then I'm sure see more people wanting that.
It's exciting having so much to talk about specifically with Project Spoke. We're still in just the grant stage, which I think is interesting. Getting $5,000 from the government just to fucking do it. So, did you have to tell them what you were going to use the grant for? Probably.
Yeah.
And you said traveling?
Yeah, and then with grants, there's always conditions for that. So there's certain things you can use money and you can't use money for. Mine was relatively flexible, but pretty much all that money went to travel. So that first, and it was supposed to be, we can talk about that in a minute, but it was supposed to be 4 months of nonstop filming and travel, and no intention to travel more than that initially. And so I used that $5,000 for a lot of that travel. But there was a lot of travel in those 4 months, so it's an expensive project.
What was one of the rules, even though it was flexible, what was something that they were like, you can't do this?
Like
that you were like, what?
I don't know if I have like
you better wear your helmet and all them clips. That's what they say.
Nothing like that, but there's certain grants you can get if you're just an artist trying to make a living, and so you can get you can apply for a grant to get a living allowance, and it just means you can use that money for whatever you want to pay your bills. Obviously, with a grant like the one I got, which is it's just called Individual Artist Project Grant. It's for my project, so the money has to be for the project.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what the stipulations were for that one.
So you can't go buy dinner for you and your wifey with this.
No.
Technically, you might be able to write that
Well,
off.
you could
It's consulting.
you could loophole out.
Yeah.
I for this with my travel, I could use that money for food and stuff.
Could you buy
And
clothes?
Probably not. I doubt that.
What about like bike parts?
You
Because
can
like
invest
because
in
it's a bike video. So what if you break apart? Yeah.
Spiraling on a tangent.
There's a
Could
lot
you
of
buy
rules
clothes?
we need to figure
How
out.
about gum? Could you buy cigarettes?
Could you buy dog toys if you brought
Dog
your pet?
toys, yeah.
ESA.
Might get into some bureaucracy trying to pull that off.
So did you get more than just that one, or that was the only one with the grant?
That was the only one.
Okay.
And then we were trying to loop in sponsors to get behind the project, because some of these riders have sponsors.
Yeah. How'd that go?
Not well, but that was good because. So at the time, Adam Watkins was gonna help with that, and he was starting to, and I was on the road traveling, and then things started to get a little questionable with COVID, and so people were apprehensive to put money in, and plus people are apprehensive to put in money in on big projects when they don't know who the heck is making it, because I don't have like a name in BMX. So regardless, COVID happened, and so I'm very happy we didn't take sponsor money, because
Couldn't have done anything.
I couldn't have done anything, and I had no clue when I would be able to finish this thing because of COVID. And also, this thing began, I say this is kind of a silly phrase I have for this project, but it began with a lot of youthful naivety.
Nice.
And overly ambitious. And so for me to deliver to a sponsor or something, it would have taken 4.5 years. And when you have a marketing budget to spend, you're looking for a return on investment, and 4.5 years is a pretty poor value proposition. So
that's interesting. What sponsors did you, I mean, fuck, I don't know. Is that a bad thing to air on a podcast? Like, who did you hit up and what did you say? What was the pitch? Like, you don't have to say the companies, I guess, if you don't want to. I'm curious. Please tell me if you're willing to, but you don't have to. But what did you pitch and what did you ask for from a BMX company?
Well, Adam was in charge of that, but
so from Hour, he was gonna go and talk to the companies and get
yeah, but and then he had the project plan document, and I made like a simplified version. It wasn't like 30 pages. It was maybe like 2 pages. So you just, if you're pitching anything, and you're saying this is the thing I'm doing, it's got to be like quick and concise because people don't have time. So I had some sort of. It was probably at that point like an overview document about the project, which is maybe like 2 pages, and then there's probably a specific sponsorship document that was also maybe 2 pages. I don't remember at this point, but
I'm curious about that shit. I want to see it. That's cool.
I can show you that stuff later.
I think I have it on my phone. I think it's an email.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also tracked all my hours on this thing. Not for filming, because that's so hard to quantify, and like travel. So like right now, being on this trip with Michael and everyone else I'm meeting, I'm not updating my spreadsheet, but being at home, doing tasks on the computer.
Wait, I want to guess. 400 hours.
2,000?
Yeah, it's over 2,000. We'd have to look at the sheet. I checked to see how much a year of full-time work is.
I don't know why I guessed 400.
Big brain, dude.
Yeah,
Big
6
brain.
documentaries and writing videos. I was like 400. Yeah, that's so
That's
stupid.
quick as fuck.
I was just throwing a number out.
Yeah, well, it's like, who would know the answer to that?
Is it under 3,000?
Yeah, it's under 3.
You know
It's
who would
over
know?
2,000 and under 3,000.
Oh, okay, cool.
You want to know who would know?
But it's more
Kanode Knows. Dude.
Fuck off.
than that card in your pocket.
That's the first time I've
Hated
ever
that.
done that.
Yeah, is that the first time ever?
First time
Have you,
I've ever
this
actually
is like
said
the
that,
first time you went meta.
That's great. Cool.
He said
2,000 hours is a lot of hours, dude. What are you tracking them for? That's interesting. You're fucking detail oriented and spreadsheet guy. I could use some of your attributes. Would you like to partner up on a business adventure?
I'm gonna just.
I don't even have a business card. At one time, I had business cards for my job.
But if you did, it would
they're
be
useless.
fucking clean with the elephant egg white or whatever from American Psycho.
It's roughly like 91 days. I
Yeah.
did 2,200 hours, and it's like 91.6 days
Yeah,
straight.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so I looked up to see how many hours are a full-time year's worth of work. So 5 days a week, 8-hour days, and I am beyond that. So
Yeah,
obviously
let's do that math,
that's
too.
over a period of 4.5 years. But I'm trying to balance this thing that at
Passion
least
project.
in the end has become almost like a full-time job to
Yeah.
get it done. And I mean, that's a whole other subject, is like all the sacrifice that this thing.
The opportunity
Has
cost
been-
of other shit that you could be
is-
pursuing, and said, you gotta love BMX and have fun with for the soul of it, dude, and tell stories in BMX, which is so sick. Congrats.
And even just like financially,
Yeah.
I literally haven't worked full-time since I left that job before I started the project.
That's interesting. I was gonna ask, like, were you working a job while doing this? Like, what were you doing
I've
to
been
self-fund?
working, yeah. Thankfully, I have an awesome boss. Her name's Jane Helford, and
Shout out
I
Jane.
used to work with her before, actually, at one point.
What do you do? What's your job?
I don't even have a job
Some
title.
high-level
currently,
consulting shit?
But
It's like, do you
It's like,
have
I
a
don't do
CEO?
anything.
Do you have a CEO
I don't
that's
have a title.
exiting your corporation? Allow me to present them with this presentation. Here's on how to leave.
He's a
What is
grant
it that you do? Yeah, grant writer.
yeah, so business is called Helford Consulting. We have a website if anyone's
Consulting.
curious, helford.co. And our organization is we're small. Like, our clients aren't necessarily small, but we have like a very limited amount of people who work together. And then also like everyone's we're all contractors technically. And so our hours
you're a
are all
contractor.
very flexible.
1099.
Very flexible.
It's different in Canada. 1099 is when you're a contractor here. What's it called in Canada for your taxes?
Like I'm self-employed. So I'm technically a sole proprietor, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could incorporate if I wanted, but the benefits of that are...
Who do you consult and what do you do? You're within the
I'm not a
company, so you're not
consultant.
consulting.
Oh, you're not a
specifically.
consultant.
I work for a consulting firm. So
Who are you?
Yeah, who are you,
Who the
bro?
fuck
What
are
do
you?
you do, dude?
so
Where did you
the-
come from, dude?
Just say it. Just say it. Your title. Just say it out loud.
came from the womb just like you guys did.
I came from the belly button. What are you talking
I'm merely
about?
human, dude. I'm merely human, dude.
I'm also from Earth.
Yeah, so our specialty, like I mentioned earlier, is leadership transition, movement of executives in or out of organizations. Then we also do work with boards, just on board performance. And then one kind of service focus that we're really developing is family businesses. So there's a lot of family businesses that have a lot of dysfunction
Yeah.
in many ways.
Yeah, sounds like a family.
So, is there a lot of psychology in your work? Like teaching companies how to navigate certain difficult social situations that come from whether it's a family owned business or a CEO leaving? Like, what kind of work does this consulting company do? Are you giving instructions to the corporation on how to set up a fucking severance package, or who's getting the value from this company that you work for? The corporation. And the value is making it a smoother.
Yeah, so
Leadership transition?
Yeah, I'll use leadership transition specifically because it's easier to explain. So the statistic we work against is 40% of executives fail within the first 18 months on the job, which is pretty abysmal.
Yeah.
And so the stakes are high, the costs are high, and getting it wrong is a big problem. Very expensive.
I'm
for
sold
companies.
already. You could charge a big money
Tons
for
of
this
disruption
consulting,
and so on. So some certain consulting firms just give you a report or research. That is not what we do. We help with implementation. We also provide research and literature if we need to. But I actually, this is even going to be even more complicated, is I actually don't work that much on client stuff. I work more on our business to improve our business. But I'll get to that
Interesting,
in a
yeah.
second.
I forgot we were here for Project Spoke. I was pretty enthralled. I was like, yes, keep talking. And then I was like, wait, what am I here
keep
for?
talking for real.
I like
I'm very
zoned
curious.
back in.
Yeah. I'll try to be brief because I'm probably losing some people. But
Who cares? Fuck them. I'm curious. Fast forward. Who
okay,
cares?
so we have the methodology built around how to do leadership transition well. There are many components to it. So there's human side, like relationships. So let's say you guys have experienced stepping into a new job. You don't know other people. You need to build those relationships. You need to build credibility. You need to build trust. And especially at an executive level to deliver, you need to do that.
Yeah.
You also need to
Well,
understand.
no, let's stay on that. What do you do to solve that? Like, are you holding their hand and making friends with them? Like, what do you, when you say, like, we help implement, in that case, how to make friends and get into a company, what is your company doing?
So we're actively working. So most of the actual client interactions with my boss, Jane, and some of the other people who work with us, but mostly Jane. Like, we are dealing with high-level executives, so she has that background and she has that credibility. It takes a lot of credibility to be in the room.
Fuck yeah, it does, yeah.
So anyways, that comes with, we do like interviews with different folks in organizations, or we do surveys. So we collect all this information. We also set up meetings. We facilitate like certain workshops to do certain activities. And then we're also coordinating with different staff and organizations. So we're not like doing everything for them. We're basically facilitating and guiding the process.
It and keep going. Yeah, that's cool.
So relationships is just one aspect. Knowledge transfer is another. So if you think a CEO is leaving, they're retiring, they've been in that role for 15 years, they have a ton of historical knowledge that needs to be passed on to that next leader.
Yeah.
So that's one aspect.
So you tell them, you need to start a podcast, bro. That's what. Just kidding.
And just record the podcast,
Yeah.
put all that there, and then they go listen to it at home.
I work
There's
at
different-
Woodward.
There's different ways to do it. And anyway, so those are aspects. Then there's also like understanding what the current pain points are in the organization.
Yep.
So a new CEO steps into the role, like what's going wrong right now, getting them up to speed on that. What are customers demanding? What's changing in the marketplace? Those types of aspects.
It's wild for me to think about this because I would imagine like the company is already thinking about these things, but they're hiring you guys as a consultant to come in, and I love it, dude. Big level business stuff where the money's flowing around, where you get like esoteric ideas like this and you can charge for it. It's pretty sick. And then when you think about the actual deliverables and stuff like that, for me, it doesn't seem that crazy to pull off, you know, like here's some information on how people react in this and da-da-da. Like, what a cool job. How'd you get it? From college?
Yeah, so I did a Bachelor of Commerce degree. My major was international business.
And when you say Bachelor of Commerce, is that equivalent to Bachelor's in Business?
4-year business degree.
Yeah.
Nothing unique about that. And
Yeah, but it sounds cool because it's commerce. Dude. It's Canadian
That's
as
the
hell.
big word.
Yeah.
What word did you use earlier? Antiquated?
Antiquated.
Antiquated.
Yeah.
Yeah, antiquated.
Yeah, he said to the group, I've got DVDs for sale, but these are a bit antiquated, so digital download is available on the 29th.
Yeah, I checked out. I was like, that was too big of a word for me. Just play the video.
I said, no.
anyways, let's wrap up this business speak.
Enough about you, dude.
So my last thing to say on that note is that I don't do much client work at this point. I work a lot on our business to improve our business. And so I do different marketing work. We do video content, work on our website, lots of different research projects, figuring out what competitors are doing, what service offerings we should develop. And actually, I'll share one cool thing, and then we can really stop this topic. We developed an AI chatbot for our website, similar to ChatGPT, except it's all with our own content. So we have 10 years of, like my boss has 10 years of video content, articles, literature, stuff we've created.
Damn, you guys just fed it to the machine.
And we fed it to the machine. And so we use that on our website. It's called Ask Jane. And then it answers questions about leadership transition and governance.
That's interesting. That's very cool.
And the way we use that, are you familiar with like what a sales funnel is?
Yeah.
So my boss does lots of teaching for different organizations or different, I shouldn't say the names maybe, but teaches on governance and leadership transition. And
damn, what's the word you didn't want to say? I'm so curious now. Governance?
Oh, he didn't want
just
to put the companies on
name
blast.
Of, I probably could, but it's fine. So anyways, so she goes to these teaching events, and in those rooms is people who are board members or executives. So they're our target audience.
Also potential clients.
Exactly. Yeah. And so she does her presentation, which her presentation needs to be solid to impress. But then at the end, and she's not allowed to sell when she's in the room. So and at the end of the presentation, she introduces people to, or gives her contact information. And just so, hey, you can reach out to me if you have any questions about what you learned. And so we direct them to Ask Jane, the
Sick.
AI chatbot that we built.
Yeah.
And then people can...
how does that act as a funnel?
So now they're on our website.
Yeah.
And
then they can navigate away from the chatbot, or is it just in the corner?
So they can interact with the chatbot to get answers to their questions about what they've learned. And then on that page is a link to set up a meeting with Jane.
Nice.
And then we've started the relationship because she's taught them. And then if they actually are struggling with something, then they come to us.
Fuck yeah.
So it always starts with like a need in a conversation. It's very, very rare in consulting that someone comes straight to you and says, I want this consulting package for their very specific thing. There's, it's called in consulting scoping. So figuring out what someone's problem is, and then they don't necessarily know what the solution is. Yeah. And so you have to scope it to figure out what you can offer to
and then
solve that problem.
The biggest thing is like, I don't know. I don't know if it's the biggest thing, but for me in my video world and turning it into a business, like I'm learning like you need to productize and have a very specific service that you provide, and you can scope it based on each client. But like at the end of the day, I don't want to be paid this much money to just help and generally help. You have to like figure out exactly what you're gonna do. Yeah, which is super interesting to think about in that consulting world. That's fun, cool, but. Anyways, enough about that, dude. Let's talk about blocks.
Enough about that.
So, I first heard of Project Spoke on Mike Hinkin's podcast, Imprimatur.
Yeah, you should tell the story of how we met. It's a good story.
Yeah, that's kind of fun. So, Mike Hinkins. Did you ever listen to his podcast?
No, I've never listened to any BMX podcast ever.
Really? Not even your own?
On my way to Unclicked, I listened to 3 of their podcasts.
That's it.
But aside from that,
Mike Hinkins did Imprimatur, and he would kind of like discuss more of the philosophical parts of BMX.
That's cool.
And I was a big Mike Hinkins fan at the time because of
I'm a big fan in general.
Hey, he's great. So I'm like listening to his podcast all the time and like listening to it with my friends on road trips. And then Justin comes on and he's talking about Project Spoke and talking about different levels of BMX. And I was like, wow, that's cool. Because like I have an interesting story and my friend has an interesting story and this guy has an interesting story. And so like Justin's, the tagline of Project Spoke is every rider has a story. Mm-hmm. So it was like, okay, this is interesting. So I kind of reached out and I was like, this sounds like it could be something big. And I just want to be a part of BMX. So I sent him a message and I was like, hey, like whatever you need, I'll be a part of it. I'm down. And he was like very polite and kind of turning me down. He was just like, well, like,
hey, bud, no thank you.
Yeah.
Just Canadian as hell.
Yeah, he was
No
like,
worries.
well, like there's a lot of things that I need that like we're very specific. Oh, sorry, bud. I like put stuff in his bed. There's very specific stuff that he needed help with that I couldn't help with, because I was just some guy reaching out.
He's like, do you know how to build funnels?
Yeah. He's like, do you know how to write a grant? You work for consulting? Yeah. So I like didn't say much. I was like, after that, I was like, okay, cool. And then he was going to interview Steve Woodward. And we had thrown this BMX jam in Las Cruces, New Mexico, where I was living at the time. And, I didn't really know who Steve was all I knew is just like, oh, there's this guy named Steve who
It's
like
got the
lives
same
up north.
name as that camp.
Yeah, so that was also a part of it. So I was like, yeah, this dude Steve's coming down. I didn't realize it was Steve Woodward. It was just some guy, Steve. And then he shows up at the event, and I'm like, I've seen this guy before. And we had watched, a few years ago, like he'd had this like crazy pegless video in like Claremont, I think, or like some other parks. And he did like that over pegless ice, and then like went back in, so it was like we had watched that video many years earlier, and we were like, this is the guy who created Woodward, like didn't even know, just like some kids who were just like making stuff up, I guess. And then so he shows up, and I'm like, I feel like I know this guy. And I asked like, hey, what's his last name? They're like, Woodward. And I was like, oh my God, like
Project Spoke.
yeah. And I was like, oh, he's the guy. But no, it wasn't Project Spoke at the time. He just showed up at the event, and it was us throwing the event, and I barely learned how to like feeble to Smith, I guess, like really early on. And so Steve came down with all of his majestic glory and absolutely shit on all of us. And rightfully so, stomped
Good.
us in every
I was gonna say
aspect
good.
of I had like, it was my own jam. I had like live bands there. I like paid for it all out of pocket.
That's sick.
And he won everything across the board. And then he left, and I met him. I talked to him maybe for 20 minutes. And the next conversation that I had with him was he like DM'd me a picture of a like graffitied penis on a wall.
Cool.
And I was like, that's right on Steve's brand. Yeah. Like that was perfect. And then like I would send him some back. Yeah, it was just like a big thing back and forth for a while. And then Justin like went to Albuquerque, and I was like, oh, I should, try to go out of my way to link up with them. And then Steve was like, oh, he kind of rode with Justin. He's like, you should ride with this guy, Michael. You're going to like this guy. And so Steve came down with, I believe, O'Doyle and Benny the Booster. So they all came down. We hung out for a little bit. We like rode downtown Las Cruces. We were having a great time. At the time, it was only supposed to be a couple guest clips, and we were like riding around. And this was like early 2020, like early March, right before the shutdown. And we were like downtown. No, we were at the university. And then Justin was like on his phone because all this news shit started coming out. And he's like, everything's getting shut down. He's like, the airports are being shut down, all this stuff. So we just like stopped riding. It was like 12 o'clock at night or something. And we were like, we got to get this dude out of country. Like,
for real.
We got to get him back.
Get out the
so,
field.
yeah, we just like, Steve and everybody went home, and then Justin like got a flight immediately and just like went back. And then
there's a bunch of delays to get flights.
Yeah, it was
I was stuck there an extra day, and I had flights canceled like three or
That's not
4
too bad. One day is okay.
3 or 4 times.
Yeah, it
I was
wasn't-
picturing like 3 or 4 days, honestly, because that's crazy, dude.
No, it ended up
Peak
working
COVID.
out well. And then he ended up leaving, and then I ended up on, COVID was there, and I was like, die at my parents' house because I have asthma, and I didn't know how serious it was going to affect me. So I was like, die at my parents' house or die on the road. So I ended up going on a road trip, and Justin went home to Canada.
Nice.
And you were locked down, right? You were like really locked
Yeah,
down?
I had to be in quarantine for the
Because of traveling,
two
right?
weeks, I think it was.
Because you came in from America, they're like,
Yeah,
well, no.
it was funny being on the airplane too, because I had multiple connections because the flights were so messed up at that time when the world was shutting down. So the U.S. flights were all empty. Like there was one plane where there was only 3 other people on it.
Nice.
And then like all the staff or whatever. And then once I got to the last flight to go to Canada, I think it was Seattle to Edmonton, it was completely packed, and the Seattle airport was nuts. Like there was people everywhere.
Interesting.
Because all the Canadians had to get back.
Yeah.
So all the Americans,
We're done. We're going
I guess,
home.
yeah, or I don't know why.
Canadians are like, we got to get out
But
of
everyone had, yeah. Or the Americans are probably like, it was less serious because
Yeah, I went on
they
a road
weren't
trip.
in a different country.
Yeah.
And with the threat of restrictions and so on. So
Yeah, Canada was pretty heavy with that stuff. What was the first step of this project? Once you got the grant, you kind of started to go into it, and I interrupted you, but you got the grant in December. First trip was in January. And what was the idea? What was the goal of the first trip?
So
How
I was
does this
gonna
shit start?
I was supposed to be on continuously for 4 months because I had left my job at the time, and I quit it. And I'm like, this is what I'm gonna do. And I was gonna not work for most of 2020. And the idea was that I was gonna finish editing this thing and filming it all in 1 year with mostly not working. I probably would have
Naivete.
Yes, I probably would have had to. I think in my head I was like, oh, probably stuff to start working around September or October of that year. So, anyways, yeah, first stop was California. Then from there, I went to Ecuador.
Hold on. What did you do in Cali?
Yeah, what was the goal of Cali?
Yeah, you can't just gloss over that.
You can't just.
You went
gloss
into
over that.
detail about your job. What did you do in Cali?
We need more detail about California.
Tell me about Cali.
Tell us about Cali.
So I had to film interviews.
I need Michael on every
I feel like I
podcast.
feel like I,
Yeah, I'll come out.
The echo of my voice. No, wait a second. Tell me more.
I feel like I just got verbally sandwiched between two people.
It was very intimate.
Put the headphones on too. We are in your head, brother.
So there's a whole bunch of travel for this project because there's interviews I had to film with different people for all the different films. And most of the films, with the exception of Justin Wilgus, have multiple speakers in them. So you have your main subject who the film's about. Of course, you have to interview that person, but then you have all these supporting interviews to fill in the story. And so there were a bunch I had to do in California. I also did a whole bunch of filming with Cole Volker for the riding video. He has like a split part with Big Daddy and Behringer. And
How
so
crazy is that sentence?
It's pretty badass, dude. Yeah.
Crazy is
Matt
that?
Behringer's in this picture.
Yeah, you have a split part with
Yeah.
Matt Behringer and Big Daddy. Yeah. And it's Cole Volker.
Pretty cool.
What the fuck?
Pretty damn cool.
So who all did you end up seeing in Cali? The first, because I know you went there multiple times because you stayed with me later down the line. Who'd you go for the first time?
did I interview? So I interviewed Dave Volker, Mike Pranny, Gary Young in a really seedy hotel I had. That was a funny one.
why these guys?
I filmed Angie riding because there's a women in BMX documentary. Oh, I interviewed her as well there. And I think we interviewed Fudger the second time I went to California.
Yeah, because I was with you for that one.
That's cool.
And Dennis. Dennis was I won't go into this story in detail because I shared it for the other podcast, but Dennis was the very first interview I did. Dennis Anderson.
Talk about nerve wracking. That's cool. Yeah.
That's heavy.
Yeah, the very first
Sick.
interview I did for this project was for interviewing Dennis for Steve Woodward's documentary. So
Was that your first time meeting him too?
yeah, of course. I didn't really meet anybody. I didn't know anyone who's pretty much in this project until I
So how
started.
did
That's
you
cool.
get in contact with Dennis? Because he was the first one. So how did that even come about?
Adam and Ryan helped me facilitate a bunch of this stuff. So
Oh, cool.
I gave them the project plan, which is that big giant document, told them all about what I was doing, and then you had to reach out to everyone. And then so they'd be like, hey, this guy's Justin's doing this project. We're back in it.
That's pretty cool.
And then they helped me give me the introduction.
shout
and
out
then
to
I had to
them. They
helped out a
obviously
lot.
organize all the scheduling with different people. So
It's like really driving home for me the importance of just having a plan. Like you could just literally be nobody, but if you came up with a good 5-page project plan, you can get into a lot of doors. You just make shit happen. You make
Yeah,
the
it's a
plan and then
legendary
start
first
hitting people
trip
up.
for
Yeah,
sure.
It's incredible.
It's
one
crazy.
thing I should also say on this too is that because and I think Michael and I were kind of talking about this in the car the other day, but I have a strong opinion about it, and not in like a pity way, but it is so hard for people outside of the United States and Europe to some extent to get a platform in BMX and be seen and be heard, and whether you're a rider, you're a filmer, you're a photographer, so on, because we don't have that ecosystem there. We do, but it doesn't have the same reach that places like the US do, because the brands are here, a bunch of the riders are here,
Yeah.
the media's here, and so on.
The bikers
So-
and everybody else is here. Yeah.
And I'll say this, Michael and I were also talking about this. There has never been, as far as I know, a full-fledged professional BMX rider who's actually making a living from Canada that didn't leave. They have all left to the US.
Yeah,
and
they
then
go live in the
eventually they
US,
can
yeah.
maybe come back.
yeah.
But you have to leave. And so I, at the time when I left my job and I had this interest in doing media, something, I wanted to be BMX related, I knew I had to pitch something big, because if I just pitched one documentary
Yeah. They're like,
and I
"Screw
made a
you."
project plan for that, they're like, well, I don't know. We still don't know who you are. You don't have the resume.
Yeah.
And this is like not as compelling. So my youthful
And
naivety
you consciously
ambition,
thought that and you were like, I got to go big. And then you made a big thing.
yeah, and part of that was because I had also decided, well, I'm not going to go to school. I should do a big project to learn.
Fuck yeah.
But I knew, because I live in Canada, nobody knows who my name is. They might know. They probably.
I kind of knew your name. I feel like I've known your name for quite a long time, actually.
Yeah, because
I
you
mean,
had that sick like ramp video, right?
Yeah, I guess I kind of had a shtick or a brand of like riding these funny backyard ramps in rural Canada.
Yeah, but the
So-
point remains the same. If you're living outside the country, it's harder to get.
It's harder.
You know, some
So-
shit. Yeah.
And people had seen our crew videos, Weird and Revered. But anyways, as a filmer, I didn't have wasn't that well known, and that's nothing to do with like ego. It's just like reality. It's like
Yeah.
you need to be known to be able to do things, and so that's why I came up with a project that was overly ambitious. And
Was
Pretty
the
fucking
plan
cool, though.
6 documentaries?
Yeah. What was the
there
original
was
plan?
there was gonna be 7, but one I didn't do
Hold on,
for a
because
which I yeah. Go ahead.
Justin Wilgus.
His
his was like an addition,
Okay,
right?
sorry. No, yes. There was originally supposed to be 6, and then I didn't do 1, which is fine. It was like there's no drama behind that. But I won't air out who that was, but it's fine. And
No,
I can tell you.
I want to
after.
know really bad.
I can tell you after. And then there's a surprise one. So Justin Wilgus is the surprise one.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Justin Wilgus.
I've told this story before, so I won't go deep in this one, but similar to Michael, Justin had heard the podcast I did with Mike Hinkins when the project was like launching.
Mm-hmm.
Wrote me a really beautiful, eloquent email about the project, excited about it, said, hey, let's meet in Albuquerque and go ride.
Hell yeah.
And I said, sure, hell yeah. And then I filmed some riding clips of him, and then we sat on a flat ledge, and he told me his life story, and it was incredible. And I said, you should probably do a documentary.
Seems like
on
a
you.
good documentary. Yeah. That's
It
sick.
was, yeah.
That's the
I
best way
did
for it
see
to
that
come out.
one.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's really good.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch it. It's
emotional.
crazy to me thinking that you said you've never done any documentary filmmaking, and then you were like, I'm going to do this. So I'm excited to see them. Because this is your fucking beginner project. Do you have the urge to do more now that you've done this? Maybe not with BMX or Otherworld, but
I need a break.
I imagine I would need a break too, dude.
I have a lot of ideas of things I want to do, but documentaries are brutal. They are
Fucking so brutal, yeah.
much work. It is insane.
Yeah, people really sleep on how much effort is required to make a documentary. It's insane.
So there'll probably be another version of Project Spoke in the future, whether that's, and it's the premise behind what Project Spoke is going to be storytelling and writing. And so maybe future iteration of whatever the next Project Spoke is could be print media, perhaps interviews, books, or maybe it's another documentary. I got lots of ideas. I'm not going to say what they are because I'm not necessarily sure I'm going to
still
commit to them. But I will say this, and I've said this to a lot of people, and I truly mean it. Though I will never do a project this big ever again.
I respect that. I'm in the same boat as far as not doing a big ass project again. Like after this next full length, which isn't a big ass project, but 5 years of filming, it's just like, all right, let's move on. And something like this in any other industry is going to be $250,000 at a minimum. You know, like let's have six little documentaries, and but in BMX, this is pretty much a passion project. Am I wrong? Like,
Yeah, it's like I don't say this again from like an ego perspective, but this is the equivalent of making a Netflix miniseries.
Yeah,
Obviously, my
100%,
production level is not that.
yeah,
which
first
is
timer,
fine.
dude.
But that's how much work that goes
Yeah.
into this, and I did it myself.
Yeah, I was
with
gonna say, along the way, did you have people help you with? I saw additional filming credits in the writing video. That's not really like hired help or anything. Did you have to hire anybody to help for like inputting the what's it called when you bring the footage in and the professional sets intake? I forget. There's a whole name for it. This dude's job is to take the memory cards from all the filmers on set and dump it onto a hard drive and make sure it's organized.
That's a job title.
It's a whole person's job on set. Yeah.
This is crazy.
It's kind of cool.
It's crazy how like segmentized a proper set is. It made me realize like, oh fuck, I do have 15 jobs when I'm going to make these videos. Like it's nuts.
Yeah,
But-
no. Mostly one man show, but I do definitely want to acknowledge like the people who helped me along the way and making introductions to riders. Michael, like for example, hosting me, driving me around.
Pretty great guy.
Awesome guy.
Pretty
Thanks,
weird.
man.
Might be a serial killer, but I kind of like him.
Yeah, bring me your dog. Trip, come back.
And translation. There's a film in here in Latin America. So I got a bunch of
Damn.
help with different people for translating. But like as far as filming, me, editing, me, interviews, me, project plan, me, sales and
Dude,
marketing,
it's so much.
mostly
Just-
me.
Just thinking about the interviewing section of that is so much work. Like thinking, researching, developing like some sort of loose outline to have your questions guide them down. Like, what's the point? What are you trying to get across?
Yeah, and I should actually, I should not miss this because this is so important. Is my wife is actually the main partner, really, in the stories. She helped immensely with crafting these
Hell yeah.
stories.
Cool.
Not in the beginning phase, like I kind of knew what they were, and I got a little bit of input from her. But once I got into the editing process, you have all the hours and hours of footage, and so like let's say you have 10 hours of footage or of interview footage, or 8 or 15, doesn't matter. You wind it down to something. So I could get to the hour point or the 2 hour point by myself.
And
fine.
then she's like, okay.
And
let me
then
help.
getting to the 20 minutes is really, really hard. And so she had a very active role in crafting these stories.
Yeah, he told me a lot about her help on the way from BMX Day in San Diego. Like, I don't think you could have a more supportive partner.
That's pretty dope.
Straight up. Like,
Yeah.
everything that he told me, I was just like, holy crap.
That's a tough
Well,
gig to
yeah,
take an
it
hour
was
worth
insane.
of talking and turn it into 20 minutes. And when an hour is trimmed from the 10 hours that you have, that's not easy.
And will also say, like, this project is not easy on a relationship. And
Yeah.
it's not easy working together on something like this.
Yeah.
So, but I am eternally grateful for her help in shaping these stories. 'Cause they
Janelle.
wouldn't have been
Shout out.
as solid
Shout out Janelle.
if it
Shout
weren't
out
for
Janelle.
her.
How long have you been married?
I got married.
You got a
dur-
question. Michael's got a question after, but how long have you been married?
I got married during COVID 2020.
Oh shit! So this project started and then you got married. That's cool. Yeah.
You got married during COVID? Like in the middle of COVID?
August of 2020.
Did you all have like a venue or anything, or was it just a very private thing?
Well, yeah. Well, we did a funny thing. It's partially because of COVID. Our first day of our wedding, we did 2 days because of how many people you could have at the time. And our first day was like a sharing circle with old people. Like, so our
Just random old people?
not old people, I should, family. So
Old family people.
So grandparents, parents, siblings, and we did like a sharing circle thing and talked about marriage and relationships, and it was awesome. And then the second day we went hiking and got married with
for you.
friends.
That's
With
sweet.
friends.
That's
with
so
friends.
sweet.
So,
With friends. They weren't old.
so we didn't
Yeah.
really actually have like a traditional wedding by any means, which is not what we wanted. But it was tricky during COVID. But anyways, we should talk about BMX.
Yeah, let me get back. So you had told me to, let me see it right here. Gromit King, Justin Wilgus documentary. Scott helped
Yeah.
a
Marcel.
lot with that. Yeah.
Scott Marcel.
Because you guys had talked about the additional filming, and Justin was telling me that he like went out to a pretty sketchy area and like had filmed some, and that was at night too, right?
No.
Some B-roll.
No, it was during the
But
day.
during the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interview
So
or B-roll?
B-roll. So I was on a second trip to California with Michael in 2022.
Who's Michael? Oh, you. Sorry.
Me. I should have said Comet Donkey. That's the only way he remembers
Who
me.
the fuck is Michael? He's
Yeah.
sitting on my couch.
Justin had hit me up and he was like, "Hey, the restrictions are over. I'm gonna come back out." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And I was dating this girl at the time, and we had a shared apartment, and so we had a spare room. And I said, "Yeah, I'll have this guy come out." So he came out, and I kind of hosted and chauffeured him from like my house. I was living in Riverside, and we went from Riverside to LA. And I remember going to LA, going to San Diego, kind of going all over. And we went to Ryan's. That was the first time I was in the unclicked studio area. So I remember going in and just being like, "Oh my god, like this is amazing!" Because I'm such a nerd about people and writers and
Yeah.
their stuff.
It's
More
Fudger's
so,
house.
than,
I
yeah,
had the same feeling
Yeah,
going
and I was
there
like
the first time.
hanging out with his dog, and he's like, "Yeah, this is everything." You know how Fudger's really just like calm and kind of stoic almost. And I like walked in and I'm like looking at everything like, "Oh my god!" And Ryan's just like, yeah, okay. Anyways, and like just didn't even care. And I'm just like, dude, I am like freaking out right now. And like him and Justin are just like kind of similar in that aspect, and I'm like in the
Similar
back
vibe, yeah.
I'm in the
That
back
makes
room
sense.
like
Yeah.
shaking and like
Yeah.
spazzing out.
Showing
they're both
emotions.
like they're both like interviewing each other, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm just gonna just leave me alone. I'm just gonna stare at the wall forever because I'm just having so much fun looking at all the like history.
Yeah.
And then we drove to San Diego. Oh no, sorry, that was San Diego. We drove to LA and we had interviewed Augie Simoncini.
Sick.
He's great.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, he's great. He's super cool, super friendly guy, and
Yeah.
got to meet his pup. Got to meet
What
his
was it
dog.
like? What was it like initiating contact with Augie?
Yeah, how did that come about?
Simoncini. How do you pronounce it? Simoncini?
Simoncini.
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 If it was like Spanish, it would be Simoncini or Italian.
Simoncini. I saw his brother just got hurt too.
Simoncini.
Dom.
Damn.
Yeah, got broken.
I didn't know Augie's story, and then I got told it the other day. I was like, "What? Like he's a fucking legend, dude."
Yeah,
it's crazy.
someone could do a documentary on his story
Yeah.
for sure. Like,
I
I'm
just
sure
watched
you
that
saw that. Like you'd
front flip
interview,
attempt.
you'd interview people for particular documentaries, and then you realize along the way, like, "Oh, your story's a documentary too." You know, like this.
Every rider
So
has
many.
a story.
there we go. There we go.
But yeah, how did the Augie thing come about?
I don't remember. Someone, Fudger or Adam probably connected me to him, and then so whoever I'm interviewing, I tell them what the film that they would be in, what the premise of it is. For him, it was the Big Daddy documentary because they
Sick. Yeah.
spent a lot of time living together in New Jersey, and then also doing bike shows. So
And that's a good lead into this question where like you say, okay, I want to make a Big Daddy documentary. At what point do you solidify your list of people that you know you want in that documentary? And do you have an idea of like kind of what questions you want to ask them? How do you like, let's just pick an example, whether it's Big Daddy or Woodward or Justin, like how do you decide, okay, I need to film these 4 people for this documentary? You know what I mean?
just knowing what aspects of their story are important to tell.
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of time with the subjects that are like have their own film. So like Steve, Matt, Pat, and Justin doesn't have supporting interviews in his. It's just him talking. But I would talk with Matt and Pat and Steve a bunch about what their story was, and then through learning about their story, then I would know who are connected to it, and then who I should
And then it
potentially
grows
interview.
from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And when I started the
So you start
stories-
with the subject and then sprout off from there. And you're like, can you connect me with Augie or whatever? That's interesting.
yeah, and then just if they
I
say
can't wait
yes,
to
they
watch
say
these.
yes.
This is exciting. I'm getting juiced up just talking about it.
There was something we didn't finish a thought when
Your
you brought
plan,
up the
your
Oh,
plans
that'll
flew out
happen.
the window.
That'll happen.
the California.
California
Scott,
trip,
Scott,
Augie,
Scott, Scott.
Oh,
Scott,
Scott. Yeah,
Scott.
no,
Okay,
I was more asking like, because obviously like a lot of people know who Scott is, so it was more of just like who stop it. What big names in writing would have helped you, and for what small aspects did they help you with? So like Scott helped you with that. Who else would people who are listening? I'm trying to like my brain is like.
Let me just
fried
clarify
right now.
what Scott helped with. So for Justin's documentary, we needed some footage from a particular area of Los Angeles that's relevant to his story. And I forgot to film that when we were there, Michael and I, on that 2022 trip. And so I need
What kind of shots are we talking? Just like general city overview? type shit?
Skid Row.
Skid Row. Okay.
Yeah. And it was a heavy place to get footage.
Yeah.
And anyways, there's so many things to manage, and I blanked on that one. I've tons of things
Yeah.
I've missed along the way. But anyway, so I knew Scott lived in LA. I went riding with him one day with Michael and a bunch of other people. He has a homie riding clip in the riding video in the
Yep.
front section.
Oh, it was a good day.
does a-
I
That was a
remember
really
that day.
good- that we
Yeah,
got a
we
lot
were
of
like with
footage
Zach
to post.
Mailman and Eddie. God,
Justin Benthian.
yeah, I love Justin.
It was good to see their
Diego
names.
was out there.
Yeah,
But
there's a few
anyways,
people.
so
Diego, I think.
Yeah, Diego was there. So I just knew Scott lived in LA, and I'd met him, and I said, hey, do you think you could go film some B-roll at the train station in LA? Was relevant to Justin's story, and then Skid Row. And so he sent me some footage he filmed on his phone, which looked great. And
How much footage would you need of the train station in LA, for example? 30 seconds? 2 minutes?
in the film, like 30 seconds, probably. Yeah.
So is that 30 seconds of different shots or 30 seconds of one?
30 seconds
stationary
of
shot?
what he filmed it probably ended up in the documentary.
So like
he
total.
He gave me
filmed
like
5
10 minutes, 10 minutes
yeah.
of stuff.
And then
Oh,
30
he
seconds
filmed all
of
that on
tease,
his
yeah.
phone, huh?
Yeah, but
Yeah, I
like,
wouldn't go out there
but
with a
like-
camera.
Yeah, no.
The phones are good, dude. It's
Yeah.
great. Like, it's
Came out
funny
great. I
good,
didn't even
yeah.
notice that when I watched it. I was
There's
like, dang,
a-
you went out with the camera and did that?
If you know what you're doing,
No.
the phone looks good.
No, Scott knows what he's doing.
He sure does.
But anyway, so that's just like one thing like that someone helped me with, which is great.
Yeah, I think that was
That's
my
pretty
first
cool.
time meeting Scott too, and that created like out of that interaction with you doing that, it kind of opened the door for me to like have Scott as my friend, and I ended up like making. Oh, and I think I made him a wind chime before that when he
Sick.
dropped double angles.
Yeah.
And I like made a BMX
Double
specific wind
angles.
chime. Yeah, 8 angles, and then
angles.
I gave it to him for the video, and I think that might have been my first or second time meeting him. But I really kind of developed a friendship with him then, and I like sent him a bunch of DVDs and kind of talked with him here and there.
Have you
so.
thanked Justin for that connection yet?
Thank you, Justin. Because out of everything that me and you have done together, I think I want to say Scott has probably been like not a close friend, but please don't put your butt in my face. But it was a good connection to
Dude,
like
somebody
create.
just listening is going to be like, who put their ass in his face?
It's the dog.
They're not watching, so they don't see the
I
dog.
didn't even think about that.
Please don't put your.
I'm like talking about Scott, then it's like get your butt out of here.
Justin. Put it away, dude. Put it away, Justin. Charlotte, come on.
But yeah, I met quite a few people because of Justin's project, which was amazing. She's trying to get my beef jerky. I had to sit on it. Yeah, go on. You got any Zevia? Shout out to Scott again. I would love one of those. But yeah, I don't know who else did I end up meeting through you. I think I had already met Pat. I met Big Daddy previous.
You met Justin.
Wilgus. Yeah, Justin Wilgus. Got to see the Unclicked studio. Amazing. Scott. And I think I want to say Augie. Augie Simonson. That was my first time meeting him too. So for me, as like a writer that nobody really knows or who hasn't, people aren't going to be like, oh, I know who Comet Donkey is. I'm a Comet Donkey, blah, 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 right? Like I haven't put out anything crazy or spectacular.
Not yet, dude. This next one's pretty fired.
So like having all that stuff out though, like or like getting around these people and like getting to see them for the first time is pretty magical for me. And it's
Fuck
like
yeah.
I'm trying not to like geek out on them, but like when I was in
gotta
I
geek.
got to go in Augie's house and like he has that. Have you seen that picture of like Gabe?
Yeah.
He's like wearing the crown. It's like, and then he has like a Deadline poster that's like signed by a bunch of people. And I was just like looking through his house. He has like the Dave Mira like poster. He was like telling us about it, how he like outbid people and like
Sick.
a lot of stories. And I'm just like, Augie's talking. Oh, Michael Mogujon. I left a thermos at his house that I never got. It's gone forever. It's like my ex-girlfriend. She was pissed. But yeah, I got to like meet these people and like Michael is amazing. Like that dude is so cool and like nice. He's a lot like Dennis and like Connor Lodes, just like super cool, super humble, like down to talk to you about anything. And you're like, this is great. And like Augie's the same way. And so it's really refreshing. You know, how people are like, don't meet your heroes. And like I got to because of Justin's like project. And it was just like, it was like the greatest thing I did. I like think back on it and I'm just like, oh my God, this is amazing. So
It is
for me,
pretty
I'm
cool.
like geeking out. I'm just like, oh my God. But then Justin with his emotionlessness, I don't know. You were geeking. Were you geeking?
Inside.
Oh,
I would
yeah,
never show
inside-
it. I
inside
present
for
as a
sure.
businessman.
Oh yeah, I let it out. I was just like, oh my God. Augie, this is your dog Oprah. I've seen her. I've seen her on your stories. She'll kill me.
That's great.
She's crazy. You seen the footage of him like training
Yeah,
her?
he is a.
Yeah, he's a
it is-
dog guy for
yeah,
sure.
he
Which is pretty cool.
he like does the command and she just like knows what to do.
That's
like
what's
she, yeah, it is crazy.
I
how
thought
much
that I
training
was
she's
going to
had.
do that with Trip, and then I was good for a year. And then
Does he know tricks?
sit, lay down, shake, no other tricks.
Nah, you don't need anything else.
He's a simple-minded guy. He
Bunny
can't catch a
hops,
ball.
feeble
Yeah.
grinds, and bar spins. That's all you need.
Trip, do a bar spin, and then he just fucking does it. That'd be sick.
Just rolls over.
That would be something. I would monetize that. I'd be in a much better home.
I feel like the
My dog
version of
could
a
bar
dog,
spin.
yeah, dog rolling over is like
Yeah.
a kickflip.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I see it.
Oh, that's real.
Yeah.
I can see that. Project Spoke. It starts, you write a plan, you get a grant, you start traveling. Why? How did you end up in Nicaragua? And why?
Yeah, so I wanted to do a documentary on Latin America, and the reason I wanted to is I guess I should.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only on Latin America?
It's called The Backpacker's Guide to BMX in Latin America.
Damn.
So a lot of these subjects of these films, even the guys who've had pro careers, are not necessarily in the limelight as they once were. And so I've wanted to kind of feature people that aren't like peak BMX and like seen everywhere all the time right now. Because those people have opportunities. And so I wanted to connect with people who maybe don't have the same platform that they once did or don't have one at all, and amateur riders. So, and I know, and I guess it goes back to that kind of concept we were talking about earlier. When you don't live in the US, you don't live in Europe, you have less of a platform. And then if you live in places like Latin America, depending on what country you're from, there are other barriers to do things in BMX and to be seen and to be heard and so on. So I want to do one on Latin America.
Why? Why Latin America versus Europe or Canada or other places?
I wanted to capture like culture,
Okay.
like something culturally different.
Was there a particular person in mind, or is that just the nearest geographical different culture?
The reason I chose Ecuador and Nicaragua is entirely Mike Hinkins. So
Okay, word. Why?
He had been to those places. He had people to connect me with, and
Cool.
he's like very, very intellectual. And so we had kind of discussions about what topics and themes might fit into that.
Interesting.
And I'm like, okay, these, especially Nicaragua, is a country that's not. It's a little complicated to.
It was wild to see
Go.
just Nicaragua on the fucking video. I was like, what? why are you there? It's crazy.
So I just didn't.
I had to look it up on the map. I told my girlfriend while we were at the premiere, I was just like, I couldn't even tell you, is that in Africa or Central America? I don't know. And then we looked it up.
Central, right?
Yeah,
Central America.
I actually said it's either Africa or South America, but it's not. It's Central America. So
Yeah, I haven't seen that portion of the documentary, but Michael shared a lot of really cool things. I don't really.
Who's Michael?
Mogoshon.
I'm kidding.
He's Colombia, he's from Colombia originally, so he like fits in that. So I interviewed a lot of people that were from countries that aren't necessarily in Ecuador and Nicaragua. So I met some people like Michael in the U.S., interviewed him, but then when I visited Ecuador, I met riders from other places.
So was that this first step for this project? Like, the idea for the project happens, you put it into the plan, but then what's literally the first thing? And you're doing these 6 kind of with the plan, going on trips and like juggling, working on multiple things. But the question I'm actually asking, and I just led myself into another question, but what was the first step to making this Backpacker's Guide to BMX in Latin America? Like, is it interviewing Michael in the States, or is it going there and kind of winging it? Like, do you have a list of Latin American riders that you're going to talk to, or what's your initial connection? Like, that's a crazy thing. I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes and be like, okay, I want to make a documentary about BMX in Latin America. I just go there. What am I doing?
Yeah, because I don't think I've ever thought about Latin American BMX. Like, as crappy as it sounds,
Racist, dude.
No.
Michael has Mexican roots. So
Yeah,
so
dude, I'm
racist, dude. It's
Hispanic.
crazy.
My last
No.
name's Jimenez. It doesn't.
Kind of a bigot, dude.
But like, there's no like scene that I really knew of or even thought about. And so when this happened, it was like, that's sick.
I'm excited
And
to
like
see
the
it, yeah.
stories that I heard from Michael was just like, oh my God. Like,
I think
it's cool. It's really cool.
Even like having a grasp of like how actually big it is, it still would blow our minds going to a foreign country and seeing the BMX scene. Like, I've seen Jaron go visit places where I'm like, what? And then Courage does his shit in Africa, and I'm just like, that's sick. And you can see everybody there. Like, BMX is worldwide, but not everybody has like you said,
The platform.
The platform.
Yeah. So sorry to interrupt that. Go ahead and.
Yeah, what were we
Answer
talking about,
questions.
Justin?
There was
before
two questions.
This fucking guy, dude.
yeah. But well,
First step for the Latin.
okay, so we should talk about story. So with some of these stories, like Matt Behringer's story, his is about coming out as the first professional gay BMX rider, at least
Yeah, when did he come out? Early.
after he was done his professional career. I'm sure I should also clarify, there's probably been lots of professional gay
Yeah.
BMX riders, because it's the
We love
first
the
public
gays.
one. So anyways, that story is clear. I know what the story is. I've heard him talk about it before. Pretty linear. Easy to tell.
Emotional
Latin-
too.
And of course,
He's incredibly emotional.
yeah. Latin America, it's like, okay, well, what do you do with that? And so my starting point was coming up with like certain topics and themes I wanted to explore. And I really wasn't sure what that documentary was going to look like.
I bet. Yeah, that's fucking wild.
And so all my interviews were questions about those topics and themes, and then trying to just generally get stories about almost whatever.
Give me an example. What was a theme or what was a question that you would ask everybody that you interviewed in Latin America?
So a place like Nicaragua, access to bike parts. And how do you get bike parts? How do you afford bike parts?
Okay, cool.
Like how do you get a frame from Sunday
And it's
parts
insane.
from Odyssey to Nicaragua?
The Mickey Fleck told me that his friends would save up for a year to buy one bike part. Like, it's fucked. Like,
Yeah.
it's incredibly difficult for.
There's a segment
get
in
bike
the like for that particular topic in this documentary. I just showed some like charts and visuals I made. So for I think like a 600 to, I don't remember exactly the numbers, but $600 to $650 Sunday complete to get down there. And once they get it, it costs more. It was like 800 something.
Damn.
By the time it's there. But that 800 some dollars, it was 24.1% of their annual income.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's so crazy,
24%.
dude. Yeah.
24%.
It's like living here and imagine like bikes are sold for, 20 grand or like even more or less. I don't know.
A little less,
that's-
yeah. If
that's
you made
crazy.
like 30
Yeah.
grand.
Yeah.
But we should also clarify that
$7,000 frame.
there's such diversity in what Latin America is. So Nicaragua,
Yeah. Some
financially
economies are better than
constrained,
others,
but like
right.
say Brazil has a stronger economy. But then there's also social class as well. So
I know 80s is out there, 80s Bike Co. And I saw in the writing video we just watched, you had a couple clips with,
Augustine.
oh my God, I love him. It's like Avocado is his like Instagram. He's so cool.
He filmed all that in one day.
That is sick
has,
because he
like,
had some good
like-
clips in there.
We filmed all that in this one park in Quito, where the skate park is. But there's this like huge, big central public park, and he filmed all the street footage with me in like 2 hours. And in the video, he maybe has between like 6 and 8 clips.
Hell yeah.
He's very productive.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and
But it's
Diego.
efficient.
I saw Diego was in there too.
That's great.
That's a different Diego.
Oh, that's not the Diego from 80s?
Maybe from 80s.
Let me look
I
this
was
up.
thinking
I'll
of
find- while you're talking, I'll
Diego
look
from Diego Bravo.
Yeah. It's interesting
not-
to think about what it's like for them. And it's not that far away, right down there.
Yeah. So anyways, that
Yeah.
tying back to your question, that documentary,
This guy.
the story arc, no, different dude.
Oh, this guy's sick too. He's cool.
The story arc of the Latin America one eventually, and when I went there, wasn't sure what the story arc was going to be. I kind of discovered that later, but I had all my topics and themes.
What
when
did
I
you
get to,
discover?
it was going to be a travel narrative.
Okay.
So here's the places I went to, da 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 da.
Here's what
and
it's
met
like
all
there.
these people along the way.
That's awesome.
And then I bridge in those topics and themes when it was appropriate based on where I was. And then that's the arc. Of the
How
film.
was the language barrier? How's your Spanish?
Weak. I took 2 semesters of Spanish in university.
That's more than the average gringo. you
Yeah,
know?
but
You know Spanish?
Poquito. Un poquito.
Dame el culo? Dame el culo?
Give me that ass.
It's like I just
Dame
know
el
the
culo.
most foul things. Like,
Chinga
I
tu
know a little bit
madre.
of German, a little bit of Russian, a little bit of Spanish, and it's just like the worst.
That's interesting. So you had like a translator during the interviews?
yeah. So in Ecuador, Marco Calderon, he was like my main point of contact, also my host. Awesome dude. He helped me with a lot of the interviews. Some of the interviews in that film are in English, actually more than half. And then there's some folks that aren't bilingual. So then, of course, I interviewed them in Spanish. Nicaragua was really hard because the English level was, for my host, was the best of everyone, but his English level wasn't very high.
Bad. Yeah.
And so most of the interviews that I filmed there were in Spanish. All the Nicaragua riders I interviewed were in Spanish. I interviewed a couple Costa Rican riders who were there as well. one of which was in English. But
How did you
anyways,
feel about that? Having them do it in Spanish? Because honestly, I'd be stoked. I feel like it's
it
more.
it was kind of a mess because I knew what the questions were, and I translated them in Spanish, and then I know a little Spanish, but not enough to really dissect what they said to have a good follow-up question.
Yeah. So when you're
I
editing,
just
you're
kinda-
like, fuck.
No, I got them translated.
Okay.
So I got back the stuff. Marco helped me a whole bunch with that. I also used some. I mean, at the time there was a lot. The software sucked, so at the time it was mostly Marco translating stuff. His English isn't like amazing, but it was enough for me to understand kind of what they're saying.
Yeah.
And then once I went from like that process of like 10 hours to 2 hours, then I'd run it through some like AI tools to translate it again, and then refine.
Cut from there, yeah.
And then at the very end to get the Spanish like really solid, because I've done an English version and a Spanish version so that everyone can watch it.
Sick.
That, yeah, I guess there's more people who have helped
When you
me
say
to
that,
some degree.
Are you talking like an English version in that it's overdubbed or it's just got subtitles?
No, subtitles.
Just, okay, Mark.
So there's a version you can watch that has all English, like either it's subtitles or there's English and Spanish speakers in all the films, but then there's a version that you can see it in English and in Spanish. So then I have mostly this translation at the end to like check everything was a friend I went to school with. Her name's Daniela, and so I went over to her house a couple times to double check the translations.
Fuck yeah.
And make them better. And then
Dude, it just keeps hitting me like how ambitious of a project this is. Like I'm thinking in as far as this podcast goes, and like we have 10 minutes left before we got to wrap, and it's like, fuck, what do we? There's so much to talk about. Like
There's a lot to talk about.
Like,
I was gonna
just
share
starting the women, starting like what's it like hanging out with fucking Daddy, Big Daddy? That's so crazy.
Well, that
He's
was
somebody that I've
gnarly.
been a fan of for a long time. Yeah,
I'll show you a
I guess
clip
those
later.
are those are the two questions I'd like to try and get through. Is like what was the impetus of doing the Women in BMX documentary, which is a very cool subject, and like how do you start that? Who's the connect? What's that look like?
yeah, so with
And what's the story? You'll know when you watch the video. You are a woman. You like bike. Interview done.
I kind of wanted to hit like multiple factors with why I chose all the different stories. So we have the cultural connection, which is Latin America film. We have Matt Berenger's story, which is based on like identity and sexuality. We have Steve Woodward's film, which is about pursuing a dream and kind of mental health connection in there as well. Big Daddy's just sort of like entertainment kind of, but got into some deeper topics to some extent too. Justin Wilgus
You guys talked about kitchens. So
Or
dumb.
just like the first
So
three
dumb, dude.
words.
Whatever. Justin Wilgus. Come on.
Justin,
I loved it.
yeah, Michael's seen that one. Justin Wilgus' addiction and recovery is his story.
Swag.
And then the women, I wanted women to be a part of the project, and so I did a film on women in BMX. And the big kind of like Nina needed to be in there, so Nina was kind of like a foundational interview.
Cool.
And
Shout out Nina.
Beatrice is in there. She's helped me kind of with some logistics stuff. And then I interviewed a whole bunch of other people and a lot of amateur riders and some other professional ones. And that documentary is more about like what is it like to be a female rider.
Yeah.
Experiential kind of.
So who's the champion? Who's the best female rider out there, according to Justin Schwanke? Pick a favorite woman, dude.
I don't know.
I imagine
I'm trying to think because there's obviously like probably the best. Who's the like? Who's
I
the
mean, if you
highest?
want to look at like
Just riding,
competitive riding,
Yeah.
which this documentary is not about that at all.
No, obviously, there's more
like
to
if
life
you look
than
at
that, but
all the UCI Olympic stuff,
Yeah.
the Chinese women are dominating pretty hard,
Dope.
and then Hannah too, and then
yeah, Hannah's sick.
I met Hannah
nice
a
with it,
long
yeah.
time ago, and she's fantastic.
I like watching Angie ride. She flows. That I'm like,
Angie's
I wish
sick.
I could do that, dude. It's
Yeah,
pretty
she's sick. I met her a couple times. She's super cool.
I just recently introduced myself to Bia on Instagram, and she's so fucking nice. And I just like the website and how much she's involved and shooting and all that shit.
Yeah,
so
we had
that's
Jessie
cool.
Gregory come up to Woodward Tahoe. She came to ride mountain bikes with her friends, and she's coming as a VIP, and she's super like, she's pretty chill.
Hell yeah.
She's super chill. Yeah.
Those ladies be kicking it, man.
Yeah, they're all really cool. I don't think I've met
It seems like
a
it's
single woman in riding who is a monster, honestly.
I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. But like,
behind closed doors.
because there's a lot of men I've met. I think there's only like one
It
professional male BMX rider that I was just like, this guy's terrible.
Yeah, there's some of those. It seems like women riding is kind of blowing up. It could be just a perception, but it feels
No,
like
it
over the
is.
past couple of years, like
Absolutely.
it has a almost exponential effect. Because I think girls see that, oh, I want to do that, and then they get involved, and then next thing
I've
you know,
seen
in-
some
in
of the
3
comments on
years,
their
there's gonna be a bunch
Instagrams from guys, and it's pretty foul. Like it's pretty foul.
Yeah.
Like just
Or
if
horny.
horny, or like like
Just
oh
mean.
she did this and it made her butt look big, and that's why she posted it, and like
Oh yeah, just hating on the
just
attention that you
hating
get,
like
yeah,
for
being a
any
woman,
this
yeah.
was good for a woman, or like this was cool for a girl, or whatever.
Sounds
like
par for the course. Most of the
yeah,
people
and
in the
it's
world are
like
dumb.
oh my god, I would hate myself if I was a woman in BMX. Like it just seems like
Why? Because
such
you're a woman? You would
struggle.
hate yourself because you're a woman, dude?
I feel like it's just a struggle. Everybody's shitting on you all the time. Like I would hate that.
This,
but they're tough.
This conversation you guys just had is what's in the film. So
Okay.
you're
Oh,
like,
great.
you're
Perfect.
spot on. Like these types
Nice.
of topics.
I haven't seen it yet, so I'm excited.
Yeah,
but I
Michael
imagine
hasn't
So
Yeah.
like, hey, cool bar spin, but nice butt. Is that type of shit? You know? Yeah.
That's when, yeah.
no.
All right, Big Daddy. What was it like hanging out with Big Daddy?
I'll let Michael answer that. Michael just met Big Daddy on this. So we premiered Big Daddy's documentary in San Diego, which is where we were.
Sick.
We were there earlier, and we premiered Steve's there, and so Michael got to meet Big Daddy for the first time. So
Well, I
we
met
should-
him.
What
I actually
wanna
met
know,
him a while back.
Before
Oh,
we
yeah.
just before we just go willy nilly into it, I want to know if it is an act when he turns into Big Daddy mode, or is he just like that all the time? Because I
Watch the
kind of hope he's
documentary.
like that
Watch
all the
the
time.
Watch the
documentary.
documentary.
He's not like that all the time. It's a
Watch
fucking
the
act.
documentary.
I'm not
For
going
the-
to answer
for
it.
entertainment.
It's
And
in
I already know the answer.
It's
yeah.
that's
I just
the,
wish it was him.
Let me
all the
tell
time.
you about
Imagine.
my experience with him, and then it'll kind of answer that question. So I met Big Daddy. Met Big Daddy in 2018 at Woodward West when I was working over there. And he was there with like a bunch of other riders. I don't even remember who he was there with. I just saw him and was like, I need to talk to him. Because I actually was exposed to him for the first time in Road Fools 18. So like him, Matt Behringer. I'm choking on my beef jerky. It's spicy.
Talking about Daddy choking on beef.
I know. Now I'm choking over here. So embarrassing. I hope nobody's listening.
he had just a quick interjection. Big Daddy has a beef jerky sponsor.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have got it from him.
for him.
So I had met him there, and I was like, "Hey, Big Daddy!" Like excited. And he goes, "Oh, hi. How are you doing?" And I was just like, "What the fuck?"
Hey,
And
that's not you.
I thought he was just gonna like pick me up and throw me over the fence. And he didn't. And he was just like, "Hi, how's it going? My name's Pat." And I was like, "My name is Michael. Nice to meet you." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm here hanging out. I got my kid here." It was Roman, super little at the time. And then he kind of was like, talked to me for a little bit and then left. And I was like, no, fuck that. And so I chased him and I was like, hey man, like me and my best friend like grew up watching Road Fools 18. It was our first DVD, right? Please, I need you to just talk
be
shit
Big
to
Daddy,
me.
yeah.
I need you to talk shit. And he goes, no, I can't. And I was like, dude, come, like, please, I need this. And he's like, all right, fine. And I pull my phone out, right, to film him. And he goes, no, you can't film it. You can't. And I was like, please, like, my friend's not here, please. I was like, I'll delete it. And he goes, you got to delete it right away. And I go, okay. And he, all right. And then he just kind of like, he like shook a little bit and it just came out. And
Hell
he just
yeah.
started going off. And I was just like, yes.
That's so cool.
Big
dude. I
Daddy
love
talk
it.
shit to me, like it was just like it's like a badge in my BMX career. So
That's
then
bomb.
I see him at the event a couple days ago and went up to him and I was like, hey, like it's good to see you again. Like I saw you at Woodward West and like I was super stoked to see him again. And then we watched the video and the video is really good. So it's not just like comedic relief, but it's a really good video. And after, we went, he has a buddy out in Escondido that we stayed with. So we stayed at like that guy's really nice property, very expensive property. And we like, he has like a piano in the room and I'm like sleeping on the couch and feeling like a BMX rider in a mansion. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? So I wake up in the morning and, Pat and like his kids and his wife were up already kind of running around and like being just human,
Normal
and
people, yeah.
normal. But then the Big Daddy part comes out when he's like wrestling with his kids to like pick him up and be like, oh, I'm gonna bench press you, I'm gonna do this, and then he's like, this guy's eating 3 eggs, and we got to get him up to 4 eggs. You know, this one's only eat 2 eggs. We're gonna get him up to 3 eggs. You know, like when he's with his kids.
That's cool.
And then in the documentary, you'll see like Big Daddy's daddy, and you'll see him, and then you're like, oh, well, this kind of makes sense.
Wait, when you say Big Daddy's daddy, do you mean Big Daddy is daddy, or you mean Big
His
Daddy's
father. His
Okay.
father. Yeah. Big Daddy's daddy.
Yeah, I thought you were just calling him daddy because he has
No.
kids. I'm like, yeah, Big Daddy is
Kind of
daddy.
gotta call him
Yeah,
daddy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's like a part where I'm hanging out with like Big Daddy and his kids, and I'm like playing with his kids and stuff. And then I go outside and I'm like staring off into the hills of Escondido and San Diego, daydreaming. And he comes out, not wearing a shirt, helping us clean, walking around with his BMX tramp stamp. And then he's like, yeah, so how's life going? And like, how are you? You still at Woodward? I'm like, yeah, I'm up at Woodward Tahoe now. And he's like asking me about my job and asking me about investing and like just like talking to me about like, he's very smart. He's a very smart human being. And he's like talking to me about all this stuff. And I'm just staring at him like, he's like, you know, going off on investing and stuff. And I don't mean going off like, you need to invest, but he's like explaining to me like, yeah, do this and do this and do this. And I'm looking at him just like, my first DVD was
this
Road
real
Rules
life?
18. Yeah. And I'm like,
getting investment advice
yeah,
from
and
Big
I'm like,
Daddy in the
this is-
kitchen.
I'm like standing
Making
here,
bacon?
I'm like looking at your BMX tramp stamp. I'm like, this is fucking, I'm fucking so stoked right
That's
now.
pretty cool.
Tell me about more investing. So yeah, he's great though. And you'll see it in the documentary too. Like it's a little bit of both.
I'm very excited to see it. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's been so many, for everyone involved, so many like little special moments throughout this project where for Michael, that's one. For me, I've had them too where, wow, that actually happened.
here's
I
one.
experienced that.
Give me your Mount Rushmore of moments while filming Project Spoke. What are the top 4?
Oh.
If you can think of one.
I got a couple.
So one for me that it was just really, really special is just getting to ride. It was riding, wasn't really to the documentary. So I went for a riding session in Salt Lake City with Cam Wood and Tate Ross Kelly. And then
That's pretty magical.
That's sick.
Behringer showed up after just for a little while, and Mastroni did too.
Oh my gosh.
And I think John Tinsley was there for a little bit. But it was like
Super talented
it was
voice.
basically Cam, Tate, and I filming each other. And
That's sick.
one of the most influential, very, very influential videos for me growing up
50,
was
50, That's It.
50, That's It, and Killjoy.
Yeah, Killjoy's fire.
And so that was just like, wow, this is a special moment.
Fuck
and then
yeah.
you have to like catalog that, and you want to be present, but you're like,
You
wow,
lived
this
that.
is-
Yeah,
this is-
that's sick.
We
Okay,
live
that's one.
this. We live this.
That's one moment. 3 more.
I mean, the first one, like interviewing Dennis, was my very first interview. And obviously, Dennis has a very large status in BMX. And it was cool to just see how humble, down to earth he was. Wasn't awkward or weird. So, I mean, part of that's just like because it was the first interview, but that was like a special one.
That's a good way to break the ice. Just like go for the fucking king first. No, just like,
I don't believe Dennis is real.
Yeah,
Nobody
right?
can be
That handsome,
that
that
tall,
talented.
that good looking, and that good at bikes, and also be that freaking nice of a human. Like, he's not real. He's not real. There's
I
no
hate
way.
his guts, dude. Fucking Dennis. Fuck you, dude.
All right,
So
that's two.
that's
Go to
two?
the third.
Third.
While you're thinking, I'm gonna share one of mine. Me and Justin are in San Diego, and Justin is like telling me about these pants that he had gotten because he's tall and he's like, you know, like very awkwardly shaped.
What'd you just say
And
about my
he's
friend?
like- He's tall. He's a long guy.
You call him awkwardly shaped?
He is. So he's like telling me about these pants, and he's like, I finally got like a good pair of pants, and I'm like, yeah, that's great because I get all mine like I'm small. I get mine
Your
everywhere.
default
Like,
size.
just-
Yeah,
I'm
think-
default
like,
size.
Think of how tall we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are the normal.
Do you have a hard time
We're
buying
the
pants?
normal in
Yeah.
this room
Yeah,
right
so
now,
so
Michael.
he was stoked. Oh, fuck off! I'm the minority all of a sudden because I'm brown and
Fucking
small.
normal?
This is
Quit being
bullshit.
so goddamn
Yeah.
normal.
Psh, whatever. So, anyways, he's like stoked
Privilege.
on these
You got
pants.
normal size privilege.
And he left the pants like specifically out of the suitcase, like folded on top of like all of the stuff that we had brought with him. And we rolled the windows down. We're like driving through San Diego, and I was getting on an on ramp,
You
and
lost the pants.
and the pants just shot out the window.
Aw.
And I like saw it, like I saw it out the side mirror, and I was like, what the fuck was that? And then like we keep going down, and we like got to our stop, and Justin's like, where's my pants at? And then I realized, and I was like, oh, those are the pants that flew out the window. They're on the freeway way back there. And it was just like a funny thing. I feel so
funny,
bad.
dude?
It was funny to me. That shit was hilarious.
Is that funny to you, Justin?
Yeah. Do you got those pants? Do you still buy those pants? Do you even remember what model they were?
No, but I never buy new clothes, or I really don't buy much of anything ever. So
Good for you.
It was a big loss. It was a big
time in my
loss.
life. where
The one time he bought new pants.
One time I bought new pants. I'm pretty
Poof, gone. Yeah, I'm never buying anything.
It was
new
just
again.
so ironic that it was. Yeah, that's one of my top moments. So what's your third moment while I was talking?
I think, okay, I'll give two answers. Just generally the relationships I've made with Michael, Justin Wilgus, Steve, Pat, Matt to some extent. I didn't spend quite as much time with him. Marco in Ecuador, like having a lot of these people are going to be lifelong friends, and I know that. That's just invaluable. Yep. And my wife reminded me of that a lot. She said, when the project sucked, and I had to remind myself too, when it was really hard to work on that, well, I met these people. So
keep reminding you of the silver lining.
Then it is worth it. And
what was the lowest point for you during this? Did you have a moment where you talked to your wife like, why the fuck did I do this?
He has one more Mount Rushmore too. I want to remind you of that before you answer that question.
That could be the fourth.
Just to answer that, the moment thing, just those trips to Ecuador and Nicaragua were really special. Nicaragua's, you'll see in the documentary, it's more of a challenging country to be in, which was interesting and eye-opening. Mm-hmm. Ecuador was more of like an adventure, and so both those were special, but I can't like necessarily pinpoint something really specific from those.
And that's okay. What was the lowest? Now that we've been to the top of the mountain, what's the deepest valley, brother?
Oof.
I can imagine.
There was some definitely like low points trying to get interviews with people, and
you mean like reaching out to people?
Getting flaked on, like just blatantly flaked out on, like getting a yes and then the rigmarole, and then
a yes and then a flake is worse than just a straight up no, for sure.
Or even a ghost, like just ignoring. I'd rather be ignored than been like, yeah, come over, and then
like, flake. Yeah, that's
especially if it's by somebody like you admire. Or
there's one like I won't share the name or whatever, but there was one rider who's supposed to be. I was going to interview for one of the documentaries, who was actually my favorite rider when I was really, really young as a kid, and looked up to them a lot. And then I don't need to judge that, but
I'm just trying to think. I'm like, if
did they ghost
50-50, that's
it's
it.
Not connected.
It's not connected to them. Okay.
Wasn't Tate?
It's not.
Wasn't my
your
manager.
writing is weird. Is it Josh Bentley?
No. Not Utah. But anyways, and then just generally, like sitting in front of the computer, it is disgusting how much time I spent
just watching people talk.
Going through some of this stuff and just being so. It's not even healthy. Like that's how I.
No, it's not.
Like I have my spreadsheet of how much time I spent in front of the computer.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. Like it's so much. I'm not out riding.
You deserve a break.
I'm trying to work out. When I wasn't doing this, I'd work out like a little bit, and not like super deep in working out. And I'd ride, and so my fitness and my health was better, and my mental health.
You're gonna have to fix your posture next.
When I'm just sitting in front of a computer screen all the time.
Yeah, it sucks.
It is brutal. And then that's my job is on the computer too. So just screen
it's
time.
It's like I clock out from work and then, all right, I'm doing my hobby now. Jesus Christ, that sucks.
Yeah.
So doing that in the most oppressive part of Canada, like when it's middle of winter too.
Which
that would just be so depressing.
It is, yeah. Like where I live now, I used to live in BC for a couple of years, which is cool. But in Alberta, where I grew up and where I am now, again, we have snow and ice for like 5 months of the year, sometimes 6.
Yucky.
And which is good for editing because it's like, well, I can't ride.
That's true.
I can't do anything else.
We have an indoor skate park, which I'm very blessed that we still have. We almost lost it, but we still have it. But yeah, screen time is just low
miserable
points in there.
there's so much that we could do, but we got to wrap it up. What didn't we talk about that you feel like we should? Is there anything that we missed?
We should try to tie in something more with Michael. So Michael has a
This guy,
full length.
Michael.
Yeah, me, I'm sick.
He's a
Got the best part, dude.
It's a good part.
Yeah, so Michael has a section in the riding video,
Yep.
and I like over the years I became much more interested in like creative riding, and I didn't know Michael before this project, and then he shared the story about how we met each other, but it was just a cool experience filming with people like Michael. And
Who's the one
finding-
that's just like Michael in the video that I was yelling at?
Justin
How'd you find
Wilson.
another Michael? Justin.
Justin's
I
nice.
like
too.
Justin's
Yeah.
writing. He's super cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
So, yeah, just like having that relationship, like-mindedness with filming and creativity, spot use, and so on.
Yeah, my part started out as kind of a joke. Like, so you remember I did that like 180 crook on the chain and like shot out and like
Yeah.
it like flung me. That was like the first thing I filmed with him. And he was like, yeah, get a couple guest clips because I had been hosting him. So he was like, yeah, I'll film you and like, you know, whatever. And then we went to, he came to Cali. We went to Cal Poly Pomona, great school. And that's where so my intro clip where it's like you know how the bars like through my crossbar and I'm like mounted on it all like it's a horse or something. So we were like, well, like, let's see what happens. Cause I'm like, is there any way I can like interact with this and like make it? So I like put it through my crossbar and like got on and I was like, yeah, I can. Like maybe I could like manual through and bump jump or something. And then that's when he was like, you know, the rider's ready. I jump into the bush. I get out and we're like laughing and it's like 12 o'clock at night. We're like, this is funny and like stupid. And then he like got really serious. He goes, you have to film a full riding clip now because that's awesome. Too good of an intro to not. And I was just like, shoot, because I was not taking it serious, but also like I'm here to like facilitate you and your thing. Like I'm here to help you. Like I'm not trying to put myself in front of it or ask favors or anything like that. So he said that to me and I was like, okay. So we filmed like 2 more days in that maybe. And then I flew to Canada on my own dime, like flew out there, which pissed off my most recent girlfriend. She was just like, you're going all the way to Canada to film for these documentary things and like you're not getting paid for it or anything. And I was like, no. Like, and she's like, he's not going to pay you to film you or anything. And I was just like, what?
You don't know how this works, woman.
So I tried to explain it to her and she was just not feeling it. Yeah, she just kept shitting on me for it. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? So I go all the way to Canada. And like I get to Canada and I'm like nervous because I'm like going to film specifically for his project, which I believe is going to be amazing. So I don't want to disappoint. So I need to go really, really hard. So I get there, I'm stoked, I'm ready, and my bike gets lost. And then we end up driving like 9 hours across Canada to like go to this like indoor park competition thing. And I'm like riding somebody else's bike and like in practice, and then I'm riding some other guy's bike in the event, and then I'm riding some other dude's bike to like go to, and I'm like, dude, this is like too much for me. And then we go ride like downtown. So if you watch my video again, you'll see I'm on like 3 or 4 different bikes, and I'm like trying to ride. So I'm a small man, and these are giants. You're also a giant. And I'm like riding their bikes, and they got like, you know, like the longer top tubes and the long back ends, and I'm like trying to like film my weird creative technical riding, and I'm on like a bike that doesn't make sense to me, and I'm just getting super frustrated and like super angry, and I would like sit by myself for a little bit and I'm just like, I like can't perform. Like I wasted a whole trip up here. I'm only here for like 8 days or something. Like I can't do this. And at one point I had done a specific trick, like I was trying it and it's like right up my alley, and I had just got my bike back. And I'm like trying this one trick and I couldn't do it. And out of frustration, you know, I don't throw my bike or like scream or anything. Like occasionally I'll say dumb stuff, but I like kicked the ground. Like I'm going to kick this grass, you know, like Guardians of the Galaxy was like, oh, you're making me punch grass. Like that's how I felt. And I like kicked this dirt and it just like flings into his fucking camera.
Oh shit.
And then I'm like,
I was thinking you were going to break your toe.
No,
you broke his camera? That's worse.
I didn't break the camera. I just like shot dirt into it. And then I was like,
oh no.
I was embarrassed. I was like, oh my freaking dude, what the fuck did I just do? And I'm like, oh my God, I came all the way out here. He's like filming me. Yeah. And I'm just like kicking dirt in his camera. Yeah. So I like felt really bad. And then I was like, I need to stop. Like, I need to just like dial it back. And then the next day we like go to this spot, and I was trying to do like a tires to fakie on like this pillar into a handicap ramp. And I was like, oh, that's easy. That's warm up stuff. And I like went up to do it, and I wall rode, and then I came down on my back tire, and just like the way that my leg shot out, it just like, there's like a long tendon that goes like from your hip, like all the way down to your knee. Mm-hmm. And I like pulled that muscle. Oof. And then I couldn't walk. And I was like, I get my bike back. I kicked dirt in his camera the first day. And the second day I hurt like this tendon, and I was like, this is the worst. I was like, dude, I hate bikes. And so like, I like did everything I could. I bought like this crazy Canadian muscle rub, and I'm like going through, and I'm like taking aspirin, and I'm just like, I'm going to get better. I'm like rolling my leg out. And then we ended up riding, and I had gotten a handful of clips like at the end. And then he had some leftovers that I put in my video that you watched.
That's a good one. It's another good one. That's soon to be released. It was fun.
Yeah, I'm going to put it out after we do all this stuff. Yeah, and then I can kind of focus on being like, hey, watch this video too.
I got 2 questions following up on that. One, you said I might say some dumb stuff. I want to know what's the worst thing that you say, because you're so wholesome. You said fuck once on this podcast, but you said freak 4 times. Sorry, you're a wholesome guy.
So when it comes to riding, like, and when I say dumb stuff,
you just say insulting things to your friends that are around you. You look like shit. Fuck you.
Why are you wearing shorts?
Yeah, just turn into a negative guy for once.
No, I'll say stuff to myself where I'll like talk to myself, and I'm like,
mean?
Really? No, I mean like actually dumb stuff. I'll be like, why can't I just be gooder at bikes? Why can't I? Can I just do? Yeah, right. That's why I have that title there. Or I'll be like,
work no more.
People will be like, well, you know, like my buddy Nick that I film with a lot in Dakota. Like I love those dudes, like him, Dakota and Hammer, like some of my closest friends that I ride with currently. And I'll be like with those guys, and then be like, oh, I'm like scared to do this, but instead of being like, dude, this is kind of scary, I'll be like, oh, I got the spookies. Like, oh, this gave me the spookies, right? And it's not, and it's like, and I'll cuss and say, you know, stupid shit all the time, but it's like
the dumb stuff.
The dumb stuff is kind of what checks me out of actually being scared. Yeah. Oh, I have the spookies. And then I'll like, they'll be like, dude, you got it. It's like right here. And I'm like, yeah, no, I gotta be gooder. Like I just gotta be gooder at bikes, you know? Like, so that's the actual dumb, stupid shit that I say.
Just on the note of the dumb stuff, like I won't spoil it too much, but the intro clip that is in Michael's section, the goofing around thing that he was referring to, there were 2 moments of this whole project where it was like peak laughter. That night of us riding around was that, like it was like a skit almost. Yeah. So I won't spoil that too much. The other one, another like super memorable moment from this project was the first night I met Big Daddy. And so, and I interviewed him earlier in the day, and then that was funny. And then there's serious stuff in there too. But that evening, so Justin Wilgus was there, Steve Woodward was there, myself, and Pat's family's there. And then he had some like friends around, friends that were there too, filming him in his house. We got him to give us a house tour. And then he's like in the garage, like lifting up his quad, doing all the Big Daddy stuff, doing push-ups, like we're putting things on his back. That night I've never laughed that much in my entire life. Not even close. And at the end of the night, by the time we were finished, my face hurt so bad. Like
That's
it was
the best.
like literally pain in my face from laughing so hard.
Fuck yeah. That's like leaving a comedy show.
What was the second question for me?
Second question is for both of you, and it's just what's the matter of this tour? Like, how does this tour end? What's next for you guys? What are you most excited for? And how can people find out more about Project Spoke? This honestly won't come out before your tour's done. This will come out 2 Mondays from now, 3 Mondays.
That's fine.
Do you want to go first, or should I?
You go.
So my thing is I took off 3 weeks of work. So I work at Woodward Tahoe, and I'm a manager over there. So
full episode coming soon.
Yeah. So I can take a little bit of time, and I ended up flying out to San Diego from Sacramento, and we're going from here, we did San Diego, we're here in Arizona, and then we're going to Durango, Colorado, Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm driving back up to Edmonton, and then we're doing another premiere there. I'm going to fly to Calgary, and then I'm going to fly to London. And
there's a London Project Spoke premiere?
No. I'm going. This is me.
Say,
So the project's kind of done on my end of things in Canada, and then I'm going to London. I'm going to meet up with one of my ex-girlfriends, actually, who we broke up on very mutual terms. So I'm excited to go out there, and she's going to kind of tour me around, and we're going to go see a lot. So I'm going to go up to like Stonehenge, and I'm going to go ride the Source Park. So I'm very excited for that. And then I'll be in the area, like kind of close to France when the Olympics is going on. So I was like, should I try to go to the Olympics? And I like looked up tickets, and they're like a couple $100, and then a flight out there is not that much. So I might go to the Olympics, maybe. And then Endless is doing their video premiere on the 3rd of August when I'm going to be there. So I'm like, oh, I need to go to that. And then I get back from that. Winter hits at Woodward. So it's going to be a lot of snowboarding and indoor park riding. And then I have like my brother and one of my close friends coming up, Robert and Isaiah. And we're all just going to ride the entire winter. And then it goes into the off season, back into summer. And then we'll go from there. So my life's not too planned out after that.
How many of the stops are there? Like how many, like you guys premiered at Unity tonight. What's next on the agenda and what are you most looking forward to?
So first one was Summit, Utah. I didn't go to that one. That was like a independently organized one.
Cool.
I just gave them the files. Then we did one in Long Beach, and we combined that with Elf's new video, Double or Nothing.
Sick.
So we
How'd
showed
that
his.
go? Probably fun. Long Beach scene is popping.
Yeah, that one was good at where Scott hosts his freestyle theater at a
Sick.
bar there.
I want to go there.
So and that
Is
was
Elf's
with,
video online?
No, it's not.
Not
He's
yet.
selling DVDs, and then I think I was talking with him. I think he's going to do a digital version at some point, but I don't know for sure.
I'm going to buy that for sure.
Buy his
Can't wait.
DVDs. He has DVDs.
Oh, I can't wait.
But it's a really good video. So we showed the riding video that you saw tonight at Unity, and then we showed Elf's video in Long Beach. Scott helped facilitate that one. That was kind of like a last minute one. And then Woodward West, we showed the women's film. San Diego was like a bigger premiere. We showed Big Daddy's documentary and Steve's. Then at Unity tonight, we just showed the riding video. That was just also like more of a low-key kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we go to Durango, Colorado for Steve's documentary. Steve's actually going to be at that premiere.
Sick.
It's at like a really cool
When is
private
that?
skate park tomorrow.
Nice.
So that'll be like a more of a celebration for Steve. And then I rented a movie theater in Salt Lake City for Matt's, and then we'll show the riding video as well.
Yeah.
And then in Edmonton, Justin and Michael are coming up there. We're going to show Justin's documentary and the riding video. And then I go to Ecuador, and then we're going to show the Latin America documentary.
International. Playboy.
I'm excited for
Yeah,
Utah
that's
because
great. Utah's gonna pop.
We're supposed to stay
With
with
Matt.
Behringer.
That'd be
And
cool.
so I'm like, a lot of my favorite writers are there, like Tate and
Yeah.
Mike and Behringer and everybody else up there. And I'm just like, oh my God. So I'm very excited to go personally. Like, yeah, I'm like fiending. I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I can't wait. So that's like the one that I'm looking forward to the most.
That's great.
On that whole stop list.
All right, last thing. We could just wrap it up and go projectspoke.com. Is it projectspoke.com? Of course it is. I would love to do an hour talking to you about the marketing of it and just the release and all this shit. It's
I'll
cool.
do it round 2. Zoom call.
Yeah, but since you two are so nice and kind and wholesome and you don't even swear, what trick would you
Fuck.
get rid of?
Fuck
What
shit.
trick would you wave a magic
Bitch
wand
ass.
and get rid of? What trick do you hate seeing? And this is especially hilarious because you guys both do goofy ass shit on your bikes. So you probably don't care about anybody doing anything, but pick a trick that you have to banish forever. What is it?
So Montana Ricky asked this question, and Dave Asada was like, fast plants. And I was like, that's all I fucking do. What do you mean,
What
dude?
you mean? You
Like,
do slow plants, dude. You don't do fast plants.
I was like, what the fuck, Dave? I was so upset. And that comment had like fucking 400 likes. And in my bio, it's like, I like fast plants. And I was like, fuck these guys.
I like to put my foot down. I cannot ride that good.
Yeah, it doesn't count. That's why I did the grass edit, because
Yeah.
it was like my foot goes down. So
Doesn't
it's like,
count,
doesn't count. Yeah. So, double peg, like no hop, just like pick up and go into crook.
Yep, that's a good
Dumb.
answer. Good
Dumb.
answer. Dumb.
So stupid.
Agreed.
Hate it. Hard to do, by the way.
Yeah.
Like on a real rail. It's kind of difficult.
Not that easy. Just looks stupid.
It looks.
It was really hot.
dumb,
It was hot
dude.
like 2010, 2012.
Doing that to me is the same as doing an ice to feeble, or a what is it, like Smith to
Bro, an ice to
pegs
feeble
or something.
is pretty bad. If you're filming an ice
I
to
know,
feeble,
but that's how I feel about
imagine
it. I'm just
intentionally
like,
doing that. I'm gonna ice this ledge and then feeble the rest of the ledge. It's
If
so
there's like,
crazy.
so to clarify though, if there's like a transition in the rail or there's like a drop
Of
or something,
course.
that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's fine.
That counts. But if it's just like bink, bink, something
That's-
else, I'm just like, fuck yeah, I'm checked out. Turn the video off.
you're too
Done.
kind. You didn't need to clarify that. We know that.
Fuck it.
What about you? Banish a trick, brother.
Well, I just think generally, like if you're gonna do weird, goofy, creative riding, my standard is that you have to do it dialed, and it can't be sloppy.
Yeah.
And otherwise, because otherwise it's just a joke.
Yeah,
And
it's gimmicky at that point.
I'm serious about creative riding,
Yeah.
and so it has to look dialed. So that's one.
I'm not.
Pedal
None
pressure.
of my tricks count.
Pedal pressure and free coasters, not a fan of that. And when people revert, finish the line, sit down, that's bad. But when you revert and then you like half pedal because you don't have enough speed.
Oh yeah.
So like they go and then they put the crank.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving the mic.
Don't call it
But
Indian giving.
No, not that. Well, that I mean,
No,
that's
it's not any.
That's
It's
a faux
just
pas.
rolling out.
It's like you roll out, and usually it happens when people have a. No, they do it on coasters too, coaster and cassette. Now that coasters don't have as much slack as they used to, but you revert and then you put like your foot down like a quarter crank because your rollouts and it
You
looks
gotta
like
pedal
you have
out.
speed.
It's a
To me,
gaining
it's
speed.
like
Yeah.
even if you land with a lack of speed, that's fine. You revert and then you stand upright, straight legs.
Yeah.
Straight-ish legs. It's almost like how a gymnast like does their
Yeah.
move, and then it's like
It is
that.
gross when people just sit down on their seat immediately after you land a trick. Come on. dude.
I just like
Done.
No way.
when I think of like filming, I think beginning, middle, end, and you need to finish the end as
The
strong
end is when
as
you straighten
every-
your knees after you landed it. You know.
Yeah. And if you have no speed rolling out, that's fine. You just like let your speed wherever, like even if you're like crawling, as long as your like posture's good, and then you cut the clip, good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I hate the term Indian giving. It's so derogatory. We just try to avoid it.
Tell me about
I mean,
it.
that's
Why?
a different-
Why do you feel?
Idiom?
Why do you feel
Different.
passionate about leave out? Because I get it, but I just never.
So
I'm friends with natives. I've never had this conversation with them. I don't know. Have you talking to?
yeah, I've talked
natives
to a
and they-
couple. So Dig BMX had done a like racism in BMX article, and they were focusing on like specific riders. And during that, I was like, well, one of the most racist terms in BMX is Indian giving. So if you're going to talk about racism in BMX, you should also talk about like this term that we all use, and not in a derogatory way. We just use it. And I had like sent it to them, and they viewed the message, never replied to me, and then like just kind of went on with their own narrative that they were trying to push out. And it's like, that's great. But like, if we're going to address it, we need to address it all. And that's just like a term that I wasn't stoked on. And then I commented on their post, and like,
I don't care about this. Tell me like specifically Indian giving, the definition of it, why it's racist, and why we all need to stop.
Indian giving.
Yeah.
The Indians gave something to colonists, and then they took it back, and it became a racist term. And it's not, that's like the basic way to put it,
Yeah.
which is like not completely true. But so, and then everybody be like, oh, you're just being an Indian giver. You're just being an Indian giver. You're just
Yeah.
being an Indian giver. And it's like,
Which I've never encountered
kinda
in.
fucked up.
Maybe being young and like kids say it to each other back in the day. That's the only other time I
yeah,
can
and
imagine
it's
outside
and we
of,
don't
like,
use it in a
BMX.
racist way.
Yeah.
But when I had commented that on Dig, like Montana Ricky and other natives had been like, yeah, no, we agree. We just don't have a platform to say that.
Yeah.
And like they had said that too on that post. So
It's
I don't
a
know how
tough
it's
one,
filled
'cause
today,
like,
but I just try not to
effectively-
use it.
It effectively, like it almost like lost the racist meaning in my. I mean, there's no right answer for anything, but it feels like it lost its
Yeah.
racism, and it just means spinning the other way out of a grind.
Mm-hmm.
Same with like Mount Rushmore. There's been feedback on me having fucking Mount Rushmore as my question because of the racist history.
yeah,
of
Mount Rushmore was like a Native American
taken from and it's
huge
just like,
monument, and
so
we
you
like took
shouldn't
it from
say
them.
Mount Rushmore
yeah.
anymore. It's like
Should
know,
you
but
like should you
yeah.
should you not say so?
we
Like
just be
personally,
cool?
like I don't necessarily care. Like if you guys say I don't care, I just prefer to not use it. Like
Yeah.
I just prefer, I'm like, I'm just going to avoid it like completely. And I'm not trying to be like anything where it's like, oh, now you're being woke or something. It's like, no, I just know what the context is and I just try to avoid
You'll
it.
feel passionately about it, which is
It's in
Gucci.
BMX and I like
Yeah.
BMX. Yeah, I don't want to
What it
upset
is.
anybody. So
All right, good ending.
it's done. Projectspoke.com. 6 documentaries and a
that'll
writing
have
video.
to do it, boys. That'll have to do it. Anything else, Justin? Other than feeling uncomfortable for that last 5 minutes?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I knew it would.
I actually, just on that note, I had to, like, someone should do this. I didn't do it, but I was kind of interested in doing a documentary on Indigenous riders.
Fuck yeah.
Like,
that would
that's
be
what-
incredible.
That's
I
the
would
word
love
we
that.
use in
Yeah.
Canada here. I think you guys say Native American, but
I think it's coming back to Indian. Like it's gotten so far. Like we need to tiptoe around it to where I've heard the general consensus just being like, bro, just call us Indians at this point. You know, like,
yeah, I don't know. But I just think there's a lot you could explore on that topic. But the logistics of planning that one was just a lot, so I didn't end up doing that. But someone should. That would be really cool, and it would be really cool if it was not someone like me who made it, someone who is Indigenous or Native American and can tell that story more accurately. Like even for example, with the women's film, that was a really hard documentary to make, and
why?
because I'm not a woman.
Yeah, but why does that make it hard to make a documentary about women? Why does not being a woman disqualify you from making a documentary about a
I
subject?
just think that. I mean, there's a lot in that documentary that was challenging, but I think what Beatrice is kind of like spearheading women's BMX, covering it. That's great. Women should be telling their stories. I
Fuck yeah,
don't
and they
think it's
should.
bad for others to do it.
It could probably be told a lot better too.
Yeah, it's you're
Yeah,
you're
I'm
part
just
of
curious
it.
if there's something specific that you think you didn't do that you could have if you were a woman for this.
Well, I'll give you. I wouldn't say it's because I'm a man that I couldn't have done this, but I'll give you an example of like a blind spot, and there's probably others because I just don't know. So, my wife encouraged me to ask about periods for that women's film.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about that when I was making this. So when I was like laying out the topics and themes for the women's film and like what to ask about, and I was preparing my
Dude, imagine,
interview
like,
questions,
yeah.
that was not even in, like, it didn't cross my mind. And so she bugged me to like ask about that. So then I asked some of the women about that. And then I get home and I'm like editing and I'm trying to like figure out the story on that one. That was a harder film to make, like story wise. And that, when I'm going from like that 10 hours to 2 hours, like the stuff where I asked women about periods, it was like, no, that's not going to be in there. Because I was like, I don't know why. It just didn't feel like it was going to fit. And she's like, no, you have to put that in there. You
Yeah.
absolutely have to put that in there.
Shout out wifey. That's great.
And
that's
so,
fair.
and I did. And I'm happy it's in there. And then actually Beatrice saw like a preview of the film, and I just asked her for her opinion. I just had a short phone call with her, and she's like, I'm so happy that was in there.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So, and that goes back to what I'm trying to like make the point is like, it's good for people who
Are
are
the thing
part of
to
a
make
thing
a
to
video
make
about
this,
the thing.
tell
Yeah.
the story. 'Cause
And I agree.
otherwise-
Yeah, I'm not like arguing with you. I just
Yeah.
think it shouldn't exclude you because
I
you're
agree.
an
Yeah, no.
evil white man. You know,
No, I agree. Like you can tell stories that
100%.
are part of
Dude, the
outside
period
your-
thing, I never thought about that either. Like, imagine a contest comes up and you're like,
Exactly.
fuck, I just
Feeling
started.
your
and you're
lowest,
like
yeah.
so heavy, or you feel just bloated and heavy. That sucks, dude.
One of my exes would like go to the hospital because her period was so bad she'd pass out. And
crazy.
so I could only imagine like flying across, like right now everybody's going to Paris.
Yeah.
Imagine going to Paris to be in the Olympics and your
You're-
period is so bad.
Just started, yeah.
You go to the hospital.
That
Like
sucks.
that's not fair. That's not fair.
It's not fair, dog.
We should see the back of your shirt before this video ends. The back of the shirt's sick.
Is it period? Is it period blood?
No, I was gonna say it before, just
that is
like to
sick.
show the camera,
Yeah, that's cool.
because like we're not gonna see it otherwise.
So
How do people get a shirt?
Everything's on the website. So www.projectspoke.com. There's T-shirts, DVDs, and then digital version of the film will be accessible on July 29th. People can pay for it earlier than that, but
Cool.
it'll all be there.
Fuck yeah.
Anything else?
Well, you were about to say something about your shirt, and then we can wrap it up. You said you were.
I was just gonna say that, like, I have a business background, so like planning out marketing and sales I don't mind doing that, and I like that. But the actual like selling and pitching and like selling yourself,
Yeah, I hate doing that too.
I don't like it. And Michael kind of does it for me.
Fuck
sometimes.
yeah, we all need we need a Michael, dude. Yeah, we need a Michael.
I'm too humble.
Yeah.
He's like, nobody wants to see that.
Hey,
I'm
Michael,
like,
I want
"Give it
some
to
new
me."
podcast sponsors. Will you do me a favor? And
Oh,
pitch,
do you actually?
Yeah, I did it once, and then, but yeah, I genuinely need help eventually with just running it and the shit that I can't keep track of because I'm not even keeping.
Yeah,
track
let's
of
have
it
a more
'cause
serious
apparently-
talk about that because I have
cool.
some people that'll probably
Yeah.
be down for this. We'll have a more serious talk off camera.
Yeah, cool.
Do these hurt my fucking wrist? Like,
Yeah,
this shit
sorry,
hurt.
boys.
I'm like
You know,
holding it. And I'm
it's
like
heavy.
crippled. Yeah, this
It's
thing's heavy.
I gave myself the nice one.
Yeah, I see that.
Those are technically more expensive and better quality, so your
Yeah.
voices sound any better.
My voice sounds really good on the podcast.
Um,
Listen to that.
All right, go watch Project Spoke.
ProjectSpoke.com.
I am recording, right? Yeah.
Six documentaries and a writing video.
Thank you, boys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, and that's it. And I'm still not sure how to pronounce Schwanke, but good job. Good job. I look forward to more work from you, Mang. And to the rest of you guys, have a great week. I bought a gun 2 days ago. And then I went to a training range yesterday. I just want to tell somebody. I guess I'll tell all you guys. Stoked. I was shaking in my boots when I went to it's a scary thing. It's powerful, but it's America, dog. I think shit's going to hit the fan if we're being quite frank. So I'd rather have one and not need it than need one and not have it. Anyway, what am I talking about? Bye. Have a good day.